Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Good news, everybody.
Drake May's back.
Drake May's back.
Drake May's back. Have no fear. We got our quarterback. Don't worry about it.
Even Rusty, you can tell how smooth he is. Just in and out.
Mike was like, so that's what it's supposed to look like. He gave you a half hour of, all the things that were great. And I would agree with that. The best stuff.
And then there's Paul.
I do have a bone to pick with Evan. Shut up about Kendrick Bourne.
Christian, when did I talk about Kendrick Bourne like he was Randy Moss?
Evan won't shut up about Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, Evan.
Can you be honest? Every time we talk about Kendrick Bourne, who's the only one that defends him?
What do you mean defending him?
Evan.
Are you trolling Evan?
No.
Just stop.
Every single time Kendrick Bourne comes up,
So true.
you are primarily the only one defending him.
I mean, I said he had a nice practice last week, but I was just evaluating the practice. I don't
Suck
know.
up to the
I'm going to do
test.
some yard work, too. I'm going to go out there with my weed whacker.
My weed whacker.
My weed whacker.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at Gillette Stadium, and summer has finally come, right? It's going to be like 88 degrees here in Foxborough today.
Beautiful.
Nice and muggy.
It's a scorcher.
Yeah.
The guys are walking out to practice. It felt like training camp.
Yeah.
So hot. You just feel this heat coming into the
You
into
just
the
want to
tunnel.
be outside.
Not yet.
I do.
Don't you just want to sit?
I do.
Wish we
I
could
wanna
do
be
the
out
show
there.
outside, right?
Yep.
Maybe next week we'll do that.
Can't wait. All right. It's Paul, Evan, Alex, Deuce, Matt in the booth. We're talking Patriots for the next 2 hours and whatever else comes up, I'm sure.
Trash.
Yeah, so the team's still practicing. We haven't seen a practice since Monday, but next week is a big week because it's mandatory minicamp, and we'll be out there on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as long as they have practice, doing our live shows, starting probably around 11:30 on both on Monday and Tuesday. Vrabel will do his press conference. We'll cover that live, and then we'll go to practice. And we'll cover as much as they allow us to cover with the cameras. When they tell them to shut off, we'll shut off. We'll end the show. But we will have a wrap-up show after practice. So, probably around 2:15, 2:30 or so.
Will we wrap up in here, Fred, or are we going to wrap up out
No,
on
we'll
the
wrap
outside?
up in here.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll come down to the studio after practice, after player availability.
Sounds good.
So, big week next week.
It's huge. I mean, things just ramp up during minicamp. I mean, Paul will tell you. The jump
Yeah.
from OTAs to
Yeah.
minicamp, it's quite
Like
sizable.
the level of
competition.
intensity is palpable.
Goes from about a 4 to a 5.
They go from just shorts and OTAs to shorts
Yeah.
minicamp.
Yeah.
And the attendance has been really good for the voluntary part, too. So it's not even like we haven't seen anybody
I know.
that you're looking forward to. With
Yeah.
Diggs being there on Monday. He was kind of the last one. So we've sort of seen everybody, too.
Really just
So-
like Carlton Davis.
Yeah, he was at the very first practice, and he hasn't been
Yeah.
there. But
Yeah, but even some of the guys that weren't there on Monday, I've seen around. We did media day yesterday, so
Right.
everybody's
Had to
kind
be
of
here
around.
for picture day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned yesterday was media day. That's the day that all the players, or as many as that can be here, have their photos and videos taken for the various broadcasts. So we take care of all those photos that you see, like in NBC, when somebody says, "Hi, I'm,"
Next up
Mike
on
just
All
a
Access.
schooler. We
Name and
film
school.
all that in the off season and ship that off to the various networks, as well as the stuff that we use in stadium during the games and the big board. We take care of all that, and we did all that yesterday. So some pretty cool stuff.
Was?
And I saw a lot of people noticed that they were wearing their gray slacks.
I realized that
Slacks.
halfway through we were there, and then all of a sudden I turned to Abby like, oh, they're all wearing gray pants, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
The
it's
commenters
interesting.
noticed.
Interesting
They
choice.
were
Now,
like,
are they the
"Oh,
same?"
uniforms.
The same as the ones we wore last year, the dirty ones.
I think so.
yeah, but they like
I mean, they're
they like
clean.
the gray pants though. They
Yeah.
like the gray pants with the blue, but much better than the blueberries. So
Yeah.
we're moving in the right direction. It's the stripes on the shoulders that they gotta
You don't
Yeah.
like the stripes?
too big, too
With
much
you.
stripe.
Really?
With you.
Yeah, it's a big point of contention.
See, I like the stripes. It's like a lot of the SEC teams, like Auburn, have the stripes. I like that.
I think they could be smaller. It would be
LSU
better.
has the stripes.
Huh?
But
LSU has the stripes.
Yeah,
too.
LSU has the stripes.
this is a big bone with the fans. The fans do not like the stripes.
Yeah, I like the
So-
numbers.
Fans don't like any of
Some
that.
Is it
fans
that they don't
don't.
like the stripes?
I'm a fan.
Or is
I like
it
'em.
that they don't like the striped blueberries with the silver pants because it's a different kind of stripe?
Yeah,
a stripe is not
Because
the
they don't
same.
match.
Yeah, I think if the
of it.
stripes were redone in a more aesthetically pleasing way, then they would get the seal of approval. But just these stripes with this color coordination just doesn't work.
Okay.
That's all.
I had kind of a tough experience yesterday, Fred. I'd like
You
to share
did?
with the group.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay. Are you
unfortunate. Well, a little background. You know, I think I like to pride myself that I can throw a football a little bit. I've been told by certain NFL Network commentator, played football at Princeton, that, wow, Deuce, you got a pretty good arm. He said that, quote, direct quote. A couple summers ago, you might remember I fell on the
do
beach.
remember this.
Remember I fell on the beach a couple
Broke-
summers ago.
Yeah.
I hurt rib.
I
What was
thought
it,
you were talking about
was
when
it
you
Frisbee
fell down the
incident?
stairs.
It was I was playing football with my son, and I jumped
Okay.
into a sandbar. I thought it was an ocean. It was a
Oh,
sandbar.
yeah, so it was a little abrupt.
And we were at training camp. A football rolled by my feet, and I was like, time to shine. Picked the football up, tried to throw a rib gate. I was like, oh, and it was a terrible throw. So yesterday, who walks into my area? We're doing some videos, but my guy, Jabril Peppers, walks in. And,
Oh, God.
so we have these kind of silver footballs that we were using. And June, he was like, Deuce, do you want to throw Jabril the football? And I was like, absolutely, I do. So I'm standing there. Jabril's standing there like, all right, throw it to him. And as I go to throw it, like the silver paint on the football is slippery. And again, I just like, and it's like,
You didn't make that noise,
and
did you?
I did. I think I
Okay.
did. I felt like I did, at least on
feel
the inside.
blasted.
So I think Jabril was disappointed in me. I could see it on his face.
You
So I
only
just-
get one chance.
I know, and I thought I was really gonna pop that one off, like I was, Everett High, circa '85, like, but
I played catch a little with the ball too. It was, I mean, granted, I got a okay from Spillane passing it to Junior, but there was a little bit of like a tackiness.
yeah.
Deuce threw up his mom's spaghetti.
I did. I was
There you go.
because the other guys were all going to the underhand kind of, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm going.
Yeah.
You were like, I'm an
Jabril.
athlete.
Jabril, like, let's go. No, he just was like,
I
what
mean,
was?
I ran the PP2 at Holy Cross.
So is it going to be your mission this year?
One of these
to
years,
find another occasion where you can throw him the football and redeem
Yeah,
yourself.
That'd be a good bit.
somebody. At least
Yeah.
somebody. I mean, I said it many times during the warm-up session of practice. I think I'd be great at like when the DBs just drop back and the coach just lobs it to them and they grab it. Like I think that would be really good for me. But I got to prove myself one of these days. A football will roll to my
Well,
feet, and I'm gonna.
Matthew
pass it.
Slater's no longer here as a coach or a player, so you can take the role of when his children would catch the balls at training camp
I-
for the punters
I
and
might
the
be on the
kickers.
show during the
and
time,
then
but-
instead of throwing it back to the special teams guys, just be like, Jabril.
Yeah, right.
So you
I'll
can
just
show 'em what you
I'll just
got?
launch a
Go
60-yard
long.
bomb, and then I'm like, no. I'll throw it back.
I always had this fantasy that the Patriots were playing a lefty quarterback one week, and Belichick said, "Fred, I need you in there to, have that same rotation."
Do you think he would have been better than just a random guy they got to just throw with his left hand, like a random NFL athlete?
I
Could he
can,
throw
I
it
can
better
throw
than
all
him?
right.
Yeah.
I had a catch with Edelman when we did the schedule
Schedule
release video.
video?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I was.
Did you ever have a catch with Drew, Paul? Did you ever get that opportunity to
I
catch
did
it?
not.
No. I'd just be
Run
curious
some
what it's
routes
like
for
to
him.
catch a ball from
I did not.
Drew or Brady, like a real NFL
I feel like
quarterback.
it would hurt your hands.
Exactly. Like I just
100%.
would it hurt? Like how? What do we, I mean, is it just do you feel it?
That's-
Come off.
We talked about this during Monday's practice when we were on the, we were watching and they were doing a quick drill with I think it was the DBs, and they had the jugs machine and it was pretty close. It was probably within 15 yards, would you say?
Yeah.
And they had, click
tough.
on a line and they were turning. It was basically it's like you were almost like a linebacker dropping into a zone.
Yeah.
So quick reaction
Yeah.
throws.
Getting
And
complicated.
and there was like 4 or 5 go by, and I looked at Mike. I go, "You think you could catch one of those?"
No doubt.
And he said no. And
No doubt.
I agreed. I think coming that fast,
It's tough.
I'm not sure because
gonna rip the skin
Fred.
off your
I
hand.
pride myself.
Oh, yeah.
The hand-eye is elite.
Sure.
Elite. I have elite hand-eye. It's-
Sure,
Fel-
especially when it comes to
Felger
picking
always,
up those.
Felger
those
always says
beers.
it about himself like he's wrong. I have elite hand-eye.
And the remote.
Correct. Another point in my favor.
Unless you're going to streaming services, but that's fine.
I don't think though from that close at that velocity. I don't think So I wouldn't necessarily want to play catch with Drew.
Yeah.
Speaking of
'Cause he's
fast,
got
I
a
came out to
cannon.
practice Monday and they were doing, some punt returns. And whoever was operating the judge machine had that thing on 11
Tilt.
because that thing was coming out like a freaking rocket.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get working, guys. Catch that ball.
I would like to try, maybe run like a 16-yard dig and just tell Drake May, like, just rifle it. Like, just throw it like you would throw
Would you wear
it
a helmet?
Oh,
though?
in a
I
game.
think you might need a
finger.
helmet.
And like, I
You would
just
need a
want to
helmet and a
see
waiver.
if it hits me in the face and puts me into next Tuesday. Like, give me
So-
your best throw.
We're watching Zoe on the Sports Hub on the TV in the studio, and he broke someone's finger in
I
the
heard
parking
about
lot at the Sports Hub.
Yeah.
Just playing catch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, so.
And that's a good point you bring up.
But I don't think he was throwing it like as hard as he could or anything.
See,
It's
that's
just
that's
like,
the point.
The difference.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm
You're
curious
not ready for
about.
it.
And I've had plenty of catches with my son, and that's at the 13-year-old don't throw it like you. But just what's it
Really?
feel like coming off the
it's,
hand?
It's a fastball.
Like, whoa, this is different.
I mean, they're probably throwing, 60, 70 miles an hour? A
60.
football.
yeah.
60 sounds about
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, not like I could bring it in baseball, Fred. I
No,
mean,
of course not.
You got to wear the gloves
Please.
too.
I
Those
saw
colors.
a video.
I told you that at Miami, right?
Yeah.
Warming up in the bullpen at Miami.
No.
So I'd throw a pitch and they would go, woo. And the catcher would throw it back and they go, woo. Every pitch.
That's good.
funny.
Somewhat unnerving.
That's good.
That's funny.
Might use that tonight at my son's baseball game.
That's a good trash talk maneuver. All right. All right.
Troll the
So we
children.
had a media day yesterday. We're going to have minicamp next week. What else do we have to talk about today? I do have one thing I want to clear up. And I appreciate Morgan from Vermont clearing up something.
Morgan.
Because I didn't know if I was going crazy. We're talking about wings, the drumstick part.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the guy who wrote in on Tuesday saying drums aren't wings should probably stick to eating crayons. Drums absolutely are wings. Fred was right. The drum is separated from the flat, but both pieces make up the wing. Without question, I would like to thank the guy, though his blind stupidity makes me feel really smart.
Wow.
Vindication.
So
for
there
you,
you go. I'm
for you and
vindicated. I
Fred.
knew that they were one piece that got separated.
Yeah, it's like the shoulder.
Right. It's
And
the
then
shoulder and then
That's
the
all we
flat
needed to
right.
do.
elbow.
We just had to call Alex.
I
She
know.
would come in
I
with
was
her,
listening to the show after the fact to pull the clips, and I was
her
like,
Renaissance-like skills.
Right. Chicken
You
anatomy.
needed me.
She's got it all.
So
We did. We needed you. Where were you? I don't know.
Listening
Where were
in.
you on Tuesday?
I was just going to bring up, Evan and I were
Community
talking
event.
that report this morning, Patriots hired a director of coaching analytics. Did I say that right?
Analytics?
A director?
No, you did not.
Analytics.
You did not say that right.
Analytics.
So are we to
You said it
surmise
like
that
you
up to
say
this
Chandler.
point they did not have someone?
No,
leading that?
this is their fourth person on staff in their analytics department, and
I have his
No,
name.
what
It's,
I'm saying, this
Ikene
person's the
Olakama.
director now.
They had
no,
nerds,
because
now they have an
Marshall
alpha
Olm
nerd.
is the main guy in our analytics department.
What's his title?
I'd have to look up his exact title, but he's been around for a little while.
I met Marshall.
Yeah, and then they hired somebody, Joe McDonald, who was previously with the Red Sox, actually, that's making the transition into football from baseball about 6 months ago, maybe, towards the end of the season last year.
I believe he's director of football strategy. Marshall Ohm.
Yeah.
Is it Ohm?
Yeah, strategy. Yep.
Okay.
Director of football strategy.
Yeah,
Okay.
and now this guy from the 49ers would make 4 people in our analytics department, and that's an area of the team that has come under some criticism for being behind the times and not having these types of people. And what I liked about this hire's background is that he not only does he do coaching analytics, so like scouting, advanced scouting for opponents and things like that, and charting tendencies and all that good stuff. He's also worked in the personnel side with the 49ers as well to work on using analytics in terms of scouting and evaluating talent and players. So that's all good stuff for the Patriots, and some of the best teams in the league have some of the most robust analytics departments. Philadelphia is probably the number 1 team in the league in terms of
How big is their department?
they have about 8 people.
8 people.
In their department. Their assistant general manager is an analytics guy as well.
So is it like
so-
the Red Sox?
They have about 100. And
and
I'm
the-
not,
and the-
I'm
no,
not
I-
exaggerating.
That's what I'm saying. And the Dodgers, I think, have even more, right?
Yeah. Yep. So McDonald came from the Red Sox, directly from the Red Sox to the Patriots, and hopefully to maybe not necessarily do football scouting per se, but to bring the systems up to date with what the industry is doing at this point. And I know a lot of people hear about this kind of stuff and don't like it and don't want, the fourth down decision making it all be based off of win probabilities and stuff, but that's not all that they do. That's probably 5% of the job that gets 95% of the attention just because it's presented that way on game days. But really the more of the stuff that they do is scouting, advanced scouting of opponents, scouting yourself and your tendencies.
But they've always done that. How does analytics change the way they scout?
So I would say that in a couple different ways. Player tracking data is probably the biggest one. So all the players have the chip in their pads or somewhere on their person, and that stuff tracks everything from like straight line speed and max speeds to how explosive you are in and out of your cuts if you're a receiver or cornerback or whatever the case may be.
Because you can't tell that by looking at them.
Well, it just is a way to like tangibly put a number to what you're watching. So that's a big part of it. I mean, you could say that, but then like the Patriots probably thought Sony Michel looked pretty fast at Georgia, and like how did that go? Yeah. So if they had this type of data, then they would be able to say, well, the data doesn't really support that. So then you can go back and watch the film again and make sure that your eyes aren't deceiving you about certain players. So yeah, all that stuff is good. Like they needed this. They needed to kind of bring that department up to standard, I would say. And like Mike Vrabel, I think is a really good person because he's going to still be at his heart of hearts is going to be a football guy, right? Like he's not going to let the nerds infiltrate the organization, but it's a great resource to have.
I don't think this guy's your average nerd either. Like he played linebacker at the University of Toledo. He has a pretty cool story. He's from Nigeria originally, was born in Lagos, got a bachelor's of engineering and bioengineering, master's of science and data science from DePaul.
My boy's wicked smart.
He's wicked smart, and he doesn't look like a nerd. Like
no.
he looks like he could stuff all the nerds in a locker and beat them on a test.
Some of the things that he did with the 49ers was actually creating their own metrics in terms of like value and stuff like that to assign values to players, whether it's like free agency or the draft too. So he did a lot of R&D work on that kind of stuff as well. So I'm like interested to see where they go with that too.
I have an analytics request from the nerds.
Yeah.
Can we get a football fast stat, which they're tracking guys on their shirts.
Yep.
We know what their time 40s are, but you watch enough of these games, you get enough of a sample size that you know which guys run routes the fastest and which guys could actually. Oh yeah, he only runs a 4.48 as a receiver, but on the field, he's been running this mile per hour. He's football fast. Like, can't we get that? Can't we get that?
They have that, but I think what's cool about where we're going now with all of this is that it's not just straight line speed, because I think that's deceiving. Yeah. Because if different guys run 40 yards. And some guys may never run 40 yards in a straight line. Yeah. So, like, how could you say that, this slot receiver, like, you don't know, right? Like, that's a different skill set. They're not running go routes. They're not, every single year when you look at, like, next gen and who's the fastest players, it's always, like, gunners on punt team,
just
right?
Full sprint
and
down
it's like,
the field.
they get to run in a sprint down the field. That's what the 40-yard dash is for. It's actually why it was created. So, like, all these things are, like, kind of okay, but now we can measure speed off the line of scrimmage in their
acceleration,
release. How quickly they build up speed with the football in their hands after the catch. Yep. That was something that Travis Hunter was like off the charts at, was his build up speed with the football. So you can kind of break it down into separate parts now. So like they can sit there and say like this player breaks at the top of the route at this acceleration, and that's how he creates separation. And like that might change in terms of like your role in an offense, how important that is or isn't. So all that stuff I think is really important as well. Yeah.
The least surprising thing was that Evan knew that much about the inner workings of the Patriots analytics department.
But I wish there was a way we could go back in time and put these numbers on people who we thought were like Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
What would his numbers have been?
So we can do it. We can do it with the video of that, and then you can get like an estimated number by basically looking at like, you know, feet per minute or per second, I guess would probably be the more accurate measurement, and then kind of computing, okay, well, what's that equal in miles per hour, and what's that but like, it's not, you know, they don't have the chip, right? Barry Sanders, so it's an estimate, but there are analytics houses that do things like that, that are able to kind of just look based off the.
And so when they do
copy.
that, do the numbers bear out? Like, yes, the people that were great then would have had great numbers now.
I haven't necessarily seen that, like Barry Sanders or, you know, someone like that, but that they do that with the current players now.
Oh yeah, I
with
know they
stuff
do.
like that.
Like Ashton Genty. What do you know? Have any idea what his numbers are?
Yeah,
like that?
Ashton Genty. You know, he was more about like. You know, I was talking about like off the line of scrimmage, like his speed was more of his burst, like the first 10 yards, and not necessarily, you know, he has breakaway speed, but he's not, you know, necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. He
graded out pretty well in those types of metrics, and things like that. So, look, I get it. It's, you know, not everybody's gonna be on board with it. You know, it has its role. It shouldn't be the entire piece of the puzzle, but it's a piece to the puzzle. And I just think a lot of the teams that are embracing it are some of the best scouting teams in the NFL, especially through the draft. You know, the Rams are probably the poster child right now of the success stories. Like the Rams, do they draft Puka Nacua without player tracking data? Probably not. You know, so like those are the things that you can look at in terms of like when it works out. But you still have to, you know, football is football. Like you still have to scout it. You still have to, you know, really do your due diligence and watch the tape. And the tape is king. And I don't think anybody's arguing with that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's one thing to get this tracking data when they're in a sterile environment. But what's that tracking data look during a game?
Yeah.
To me, that's the most important part.
Well, that's what it all is.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of this. So like that, you know, teams like the Rams and now the Jaguars who are following in the Rams' footsteps, the Rams don't even go to the combine. They don't pay attention to a single thing that happens at the combine. They don't send anybody. They don't do any of the interviews. They don't look at any of the on-field drills, because all of their data is in-game tracking.
Right.
How fast is this guy with pads between the lines? Not, I don't care what he runs in a 40 in spandex.
It still sounds stupid to me.
See, I think that's dumb.
Just go. Like,
if you want to, everything that Evan just said about the data, if you want to accentuate that data, by all means, you accentuate that data. That's what I believe in. Why would you not go and
so we're
talk
too
to,
good for
talk
this.
to
We
people?
don't need to. Right.
So they
Why would you not utilize all the possible
Sure,
information that you can
Everyone
garner?
else is there.
You want to lean on all of the numbers that you get on your own? Fine.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you go and talk to somebody? Why wouldn't you use the opportunity to meet with as many players as you can to get to know who they are?
Yeah.
Well, to take it a step further, they don't do 30 visits either. So
I think that's insane.
It's kind of arrogant.
So well,
It's very arrogant. And I'm saying this. You know that I'm a believer in McVay.
Yeah.
I think he's exceptional.
Yeah.
But I think that's closing the door to information. I don't know why you would ever do that. I would say the same thing to the football. I used to criticize Belichick for completely being so anti-analytical, even though I am more anti-analytical. Why would you close the door to information that can possibly help you?
Right.
Right.
Use it all and then determine on your own what you think is more important.
Right.
So the reason why they don't, not that I necessarily agree with it, but the reason why they don't do interviews is because they don't want to develop biases.
Yep. They don't want to get clouded
towards the individual players. Like they don't want a player that's just a great talker to just talk them into drafting him if he's not a great football player. So that's how they view it, is that when you meet somebody in person and you hit it off with that person, then maybe you get clouded in terms of your judgment that we just like this kid, so we're just going to draft him over, you know, drafting somebody else who's actually got better tape and is a better football player.
And my argument against that would be, have you never had I'm going to leave out my example, but that I just thought of that made me chuckle. But have you ever had an experience with somebody that was sort of average on paper that was made to look better when you got to talk to them, and they turned out to, wow, boy, am I glad I got to know that person because they offer so much more than the resume says.
They're quiet, but there's a lot
right?
going on.
Right.
You tell me there's no example of a player who has average skills but is put over the top because he's incredibly prepared and instinctive and leadership you can't use a player like that that maybe doesn't have the perfect numbers that you're looking for. Again, if you want to accentuate the numbers, that's your prerogative. I don't think that that's wrong. You utilize all the analytical data that you can, but I don't know why you would not want, am I going to be afraid that I'm going to say, well, this guy flat out can't play, but he was a really good guy, so I'm going to draft him? I don't think that happens a lot.
It's interesting that they came to this, though, probably during that period where they didn't really have a lot of high-round picks, but the proof is in the pudding. They've drafted really well the last couple of years. They've had
can't
some
argue
gems,
with the program, or as I like to say, the program.
The program?
Yeah.
Can't argue with their success rate.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with their interview process. I think they do a great job, though, and they show it a lot with some of the Rams behind-the-scenes stuff where it's like Les Snead and his kind of group, Les Snead's their general manager, he kind of brings like that sort of analytical approach, and then Sean McVay brings the football, right? And so Sean McVay will come in, and Les Snead will say, well, this guy, we like this guy because of this, this, and this, and then Sean McVay will come in and say, well, I can use him like that, and I'm going to use him like this, and this is, he's going to be a great fit because of X, Y, and Z. And that's, I think, how they kind of put it all together. But the Rams, the Eagles, the Lions, the Ravens, certainly, like these teams all have great, strong analytical departments. Big staffs, all of it that have a huge role in what they're doing.
Okay.
The personnel department also promoted someone to replace Cam Williams. Did they not?
Yes, they did. Hold, please. I have that name right here. That would be Tony Kinkella.
Thank you.
Yep. And he was
As
with
CTE
Tampa
said
Bay.
it, and I couldn't.
So that's pro personnel.
That's
He was
director of college scouting.
He was
scouting.
switched, I think, from pro to
Oh, okay.
college to replace Cameron
Yeah,
Williams.
he's been around a little bit. I think he was with Tampa for a while.
Okay. Jack in Ann Arbor warns us about having a
Wings.
catch with a pro quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
He says Stuart Scott, ESPN anchorman, before an NFL game,
All right.
Scott asked the quarterback to throw him a pass. The quarterback threw the pass, aimed directly at his head, not realizing how hard the QB throws a football. Scott couldn't catch it, went through his hands, hit him in the eye, partially blinding him.
That is correct. I remember that
That's
story.
why,
That's
huh?
why he had his eye. It was almost
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had that funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought that was just a thing.
No. Yeah, that was an accident.
Wow. Do you know
Yep.
what quarterback it was?
I don't.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Remember our old security guy broke a finger catching a pass from either Zolak or
like,
Bledsoe,
you
right,
take
Fred?
a little
Remember?
mustard off of it.
What's that?
Former security guy.
Yeah.
I think he broke a finger catching a pass from either Bledsoe or Zolak.
Oh, is that right?
Frank Mendes.
Oh.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember, no.
No. Maybe I'm making stuff up.
My Frank story was we were at Bryant College, and
That's where that happened.
during training camp. Okay, so another thing happened there. He started riding a bike everywhere. Do you remember that?
Yep.
I don't know what happened, but
I think he fell.
he went after somebody, and the bike just like did a wheel, and he fell off the back of it. Yeah.
Remember
Happened in
he got mad at
Germany.
us when
we
wrote about the guy running on the field.
Right.
He got all mad.
Yeah. All right. 855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Podcast@patriots.com is the email address. Newsletter's coming out this week. You can subscribe to the email by the newsletter by going to patriots.com/PU newsletter. You definitely want to subscribe to that. It's a lot of fun. We make fun of each other on that. Alex puts it
got
together.
in a little trouble last week because
Did
of the
we?
newsletter. No, I did personally
did
at
at
home.
home.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
So we put that story in the newsletter, the off-air story, and I went to go pick Jess up from somewhere. She gets in the car and she goes, "Saxophone, huh?" And I was like, you knew I played.
I was like, how did you get in trouble?
I was like,
Now I
you knew you
remember.
played the I played the saxophone, and she was like, I didn't know why. And I was like, it was 20 years ago. I think we've
That's
moved
funny.
on.
Also, the part that didn't make it in is your rock band. You were in a rock band.
I was in a rock band ish. I mean, cosplayed.
What was the name of it?
We didn't have a name.
Yeah, he
didn't have a
didn't
name.
have a
I
name
know
for
we
it.
didn't.
Evan in the
named-
analytics.
We never named it.
So when you say you were a rock band, you were a bunch of guys that played together in your
Ball knowers.
garage, or did you actually have gigs?
we only had like one or two gigs. It was like kind of like a after school program thing, And my mom and dad wanted me to do it to keep it on my college resume, and I didn't want to do like high school band anymore. I was kind of over it, and so we would just like jam in this dude's garage that ran this after-school program.
You were on the sax.
I did some sax.
Any other brass in the band, or is this what do we got?
Yeah, we had a whole horn section.
You guys were like Parliament.
We were like we like to more like Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
that's
that was sort of what we
What a comparison.
we thought that ourselves were
Hard streets
fancied
that need 'em.
ourselves to that.
When's the last time you touched a sax?
Oh man,
You should break it out at your wedding.
High school.
Your
High
reception,
school.
break it out.
Evan,
I think that'd be a good
yeah.
time.
That is gold right there. But surprise for Jess on the
Yes.
wedding. Bust out the sax and give her serenade her
the
with your
sax, right? You're saying sax. That's what you want.
Not like sax of the quarterback. Play her some sax. I think that's a good idea. She would love it. What song would you play?
I can play Sweet Caroline on there. yeah. The little Red Sox.
Okay.
You remember this?
He's
What's
always
playing right
just
now?
so in touch with his music.
Charlie Brown's Roll. You remember this? This is Eric trying to play the piano.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, so
When
Eric
he insisted,
Eric
he knew
always
how.
told us, I can play the piano. So we were at a Super Bowl. It was in
Show
Atlanta.
us.
And I had an electric piano there because we were going to use it for a media night
Yeah.
for one of the players. And it was just set up. And so Eric, go play the piano.
Eric, we got a keyboard.
and,
Let's go.
and he just couldn't play. And then who was it that just jumped
Well,
in?
represent.
Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie walked and just bangs out a tune.
Jamie was like dun dun
Right.
dun dun dun.
But you ever see those guys who are like, oh yeah, I can play the guitar. So you hand them a guitar and they spend like 20 minutes tuning it out.
They're like, oh, it's not tuned.
And they never get to anything. That was what Eric was doing.
Eric
with
was
the
just
piano.
like
so funny.
This one
randomly
seems
hitting
out of
keys.
keys.
It's like
Seems out of
if you
key.
really know how to play
I
the
feel like
piano,
that's
you
so-
just
him in a
you just
nutshell.
start playing.
That was the Atlanta Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
You just start.
That was what he did. That
Yeah,
sound
that's
right
what he
there.
did. That's what he
You
did.
guys
In
recorded
Atlanta.
that?
And that was yeah.
My guy, what is
Should
this?
clarify.
No formal artistic training.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was at that one. I
But if
had
you-
training on the saxophone.
Yeah.
A lot of training.
If you play an instrument though, and you're
Exact-
like that, you
you
have
just
to have
play.
a go-to song of just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
here's the one I worked on for a year that you have to
Right.
figure out.
Mr. Holland's opus.
No, right. But that just sounds like he's just like
So I
No,
just
he's
feeling it out.
I'm
he
not
clearly
being a bully.
couldn't play.
I'm not being a bully. He
You were a little
invites
bit.
this.
You were a little bit of a bully.
But he invites them. Like if you tell people,
Yeah.
oh yes, I play the piano in such a way that,
Yeah.
pompous way.
Yeah.
Like you better be able to play the piano.
I can push the keys down.
I'm not telling you I can
In
still
random
play it.
order.
That's all.
FYI.
That's all he was
I
doing.
don't think I can.
Was just like randomly hitting keys. Like he claimed he knew how to play,
Right.
and he didn't.
Did he clam up or did he walk over there with confidence and was ready to just
No,
like,
I had to coax him to do
Did he
it.
have
down,
excuses
had the
after?
tails on
Yeah.
and like
Yeah, right.
I
Beethoven
think
over
Ferreira
there.
still has the actual video of it.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's like if you tell someone, oh yes, I speak Italian.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
better be able to speak Italian.
Yeah.
I'm fluent.
Yeah.
Well,
know?
if there's ever a guitar around and you want me to pick it up and play an acoustic version of Pink Pony Club, I've got that in my repertoire
okay.
now.
All right.
Oh, you must learn that.
You can do
pretty
Pink
recently.
Pony
I
Club,
could
huh?
do Pink Pony Club.
Wow.
So you're
Wow.
still
No
really reaching.
Kind of sticking.
I am being
inner-
serious about the
your
music,
inner
Paul,
music-
on the side. You
the
just
inner
know what
musician.
I don't need to
I like
trumpet
it.
it. Or sorry, sax it. Trumpet it.
Sax.
Trumpet it.
No,
Sorry.
not the trumpet.
I
That
wanna-
trumpet's gross. Like to get those
Come on.
all caught in there.
The sax
and
is
you gotta-
objectively cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
I picked the trombone. I had no idea what I was
Well,
doing.
yeah, the sax is cool because you don't look like weird when you're playing it. When you're
Yeah.
playing the trumpet, your cheeks are out
Yeah.
like this.
I don't
you
know,
You
Fred.
can kind of be cool playing the
You
sax.
can do some
Oh,
covers
that's-
on the sax that sound so good too. Like, do you know Joey Sax that sits
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
the Celtics games?
Yeah.
Befriended him just after a couple times there. When he has like, when he plays outside of TD Garden after a concert or
Oh, I know
something,
that guy.
it's
Yeah.
electric.
Yeah.
Like he did a Celine Dion song after a Celine concert. It went so viral because he was so good.
That's like why I stopped playing in the school band was because we were doing all the classical stuff and it was like wasn't fun.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think nowadays they try to do it a little bit more. We're actually playing songs, you
Yeah.
know. Like it's way more exciting when you're actually playing a song than it is like when you're like going back and playing like some like symphony or something.
Like
would
when the
agree with
college
that.
marching bands do all of the lights. Like,
Yeah,
it's
right. Like
electric.
I hear that a lot more now that they do actual songs that are popular and stuff, which is much more fun.
Do you remember like all the songs that your band used to play like during football games in high school? There was just like a repertoire of like certain
Dude,
songs.
that was on
they
the
would
field.
always,
I
like,
couldn't hear.
You
the
weren't
band.
paying attention to the cheerleaders in the band like me.
You're just listening to the
Why else? Why do you
No,
play?
I'm just kidding. I was a backup quarterback for a while. I had the hat.
Yeah.
I had the baseball hat and the eye black. Are you kidding me? I was looking good.
So our band, sometimes they didn't, this is high school, they didn't travel, but one kid was really into it, the trumpet player, and so you just had the trumpet guy go, and he for
would
like away
travel?
games, he would just trumpet, it
The
wasn't.
trumpet guy.
It wasn't, his name was Cliff, it wasn't as exciting with just a trumpet, but. Yeah.
Jeremiah says, if we're giving suggestions for a song that Evan should play at his wedding on his sax, I suggest Careless Whispers while Jess sits at the middle of a dance as he circles her.
Yeah, I wouldn't play that.
No? What's that song?
It's about cheating.
Oh, it is?
is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, that's nasty.
Sweet Caroline's about
That's
a
not
little
nice,
girl.
Jeremiah.
I did.
Why
I
are you
wouldn't
doing
play
It's a
that?
great sax
It's
song,
definitely a
It's a great
big time
sax
sax song.
My,
but it's about cheating.
My grandparents were massive Neil Diamond fans, huge. And so at their 50th wedding or anniversary, I had performed Sweet Caroline. And I practiced for like weeks in advance to nail it. And they had a little band with me and everything to fill in.
Did you nail it?
Oh, of course.
Were you
Did they do the
Oh,
dun dun
100%
dun? They did the
nervous.
dun dun
Oh,
dun?
yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So good, so
100%.
good, so good.
So good.
You know it.
And Evan's just
you know it. And I'm just wailing on
I'm sorry.
it. Sax,
I'm sorry. I know
yeah.
Alex said that
How
saxes
cool
are
did
cool.
you
I don't
feel?
think saxes are cool. They just like silly to me. Like,
No,
like
God.
just rocking out on it. Like,
Who's doing that?
Well, the battle of the
I think
bands.
it's so rad.
Then it's cool when they're dancing.
Do you remember the guy in the Lost Boys who played the sax with like he was like shirtless with like a leather pants and like had a ponytail? That was the only
You gotta
cool
go
sax
to a
guy I've ever
wedding
seen.
where
Lost
there's a
Boys.
sax
Oh.
player and then like the after hours at the reception. Where
Yeah.
everyone's
See, that's where I'm going
scampering
now.
and
So
the
I
guy's
have a
coming out with
friend,
the sax. That's
I played
That's
hockey with a
time,
kid.
you can make a
that's
lot
little
of money.
post-wedding time, if
You
you know
can
what
make
I'm
a lot
saying.
of money on the weekends. I'm just saying.
This is where it all comes from me. I have an old friend from college who that's what he did. He moved to San Diego. He plays the sax at weddings, and that's what it is. It's like him like getting into it. with
Okay,
the
I don't know what
sax.
this move is. I've never seen anybody that
Oh,
plays
yeah,
the
stand up.
sax.
You know
make-
where you gotta hear and like he's
No,
rocking it,
he-
rolling around,
no,
like,
he's
bring it
no.
right.
I don't know
Juice
what
is
that
like
move is.
in the USC marching band on the Tusk video for
Right.
Fleetwood Mac.
It's a lot. You want to be more. You want to be slower with it, Deuce. You're like jerking it. Like you don't want to do that.
Oh wow.
You don't want to do
right.
that.
I'm gonna make another Pepsi.
Like you're just.
He's getting rather peaked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what moves you're
No
doing.
offense. I don't
over
mean to
there.
Learn
insult
a
your
couple like
instrument.
EDM songs.
Yeah, right.
Oh
Go
man,
do whatever
I don't
you
know.
want. He doesn't make a lot of
Honestly,
money.
like I'm sure I could like.
Charge like $5,000 an appearance.
I'm
for
sure I
these
could
weddings.
make like I could play. It was in like I still would know the mechanics of like if I picked one up, I could make noise and like things like that. But I can't like actually play anymore. I haven't
like
played in years.
Sax and O's, like X's and O's, but sax and O's.
Oh, that's not
So,
bad.
yeah,
It's a working title.
Your two favorite things.
Yeah.
The brass knowers.
All right.
Yes, also very good.
At podcast at patriots.com. Eric from Nashville has a couple would you rathers.
Oh,
Okay.
A little
love
football.
Good games. Good job.
Oh, you're right.
Good job, peeps.
Would you rather relive the 2001-2005 Patriots or the 2014-2018 Patriots?
One.
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 I think
'cause
one.
Five.
We
I
were
would
too
like to-
young, so I
yeah,
would want
right.
to relive it
Nothing like
because I
the
was
first
too
time.
young to truly appreciate
Agreed.
them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point by Alex.
Would you rather relive the 07 to 2011 Patriots with the extreme highs and lows or the 2020-2024 Patriots
Oh.
with just the expected lows?
Oh, 07.
Oh,
for
seven.
me.
Seven
Yeah.
or 11.
What were the highs?
Better to have been there and lost than never to have been there.
I would
and
agree.
Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
to watch Randy Moss than whatever those years were.
Yeah.
You lose two Super
mean, how
Bowls
many
as
games-
opposed to not making the playoffs.
They won
every
more
year?
than 12 games though, right? It's too much. Too many games.
I was
Too
going
many
to say,
wins.
Deuce probably wants to watch now. He
I mean,
likes
I'm
it.
just so tired of going 12 and
Down
4.
bad deuce.
And lastly, he says, to get Paul a new car, has anyone suggested pimping him out with his new body? Duke surely has
Oh my
someone in
God.
his family that knows where to start. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Oh man.
But I am
He has a
interested.
wife.
Go
Paul's
down to
very,
St. James Street.
very popular.
Where's
with
that?
It's down by Park Plaza. It's notorious.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we could do our
David's
calendar.
afraid to know crap.
We could do our
I
calendar
just-
and
no,
the
I-
proceeds go to
Not that I,
that.
you know.
You don't have to
Yeah.
leave your house anymore though. I think you just only fans it up. You know, you got good.
Oh,
you got
can
good
you
feet.
now?
You got good feet.
Can
Yeah.
you now,
Well,
Mike?
money to be made. They just sold for $9 billion.
Yeesh.
It's
Yeah,
cheaper to buy OnlyFans, or it's cheaper to buy the Boston Celtics than
I don't think
OnlyFans.
there's money to be made for me.
You never know. There's some freaks out there.
There are a lot of freaks.
You're
out
very
there.
popular with the 60 and over.
I've seen it
crowd.
firsthand.
You wouldn't even have to strip. You could just
I'm not
I've seen it
making it
firsthand.
up.
I've seen it firsthand.
You should see them on game day sometimes. The women come calling. They're
They
like,
do. They do.
is that Paul?
Yeah, that's-
Yeah.
The draft party this year, really, I think it hurt you because we were down.
Because we were down here.
You weren't able to be
I
up
wasn't
there
with
your,
it. These are my
with your
people.
I
people.
couldn't see your
right.
new
Paulie
bod.
signed my girdle.
And that over there is Paul Perillo. Oh my God, he is.
Is
hot.
that Paul Perillo?
Trying to
Guys
find
are
some
out of your
football
minds.
questions. Curtis in St. Louis. Which positional battle do you think will be have the more surprising outcome as it comes to making the roster / day one starter? The wide receiver room or the interior offensive line? Which will have the more surprising outcome?
I might go guard, the left guard. I might
What's
think that might be
surprise-
surprising.
like,
Like
yeah.
a Tyrese Robinson wins it or something.
Okay,
That
then I'm
could
gonna
be
go guard,
something. So
too.
I think I kind of have a sense of the wide receivers, one or two guys, maybe some questions, but
Well, if
I kinda have a beat
Chisholm,
on it.
is that, am I saying his name
Chisholm.
right?
You
Yeah,
are.
if he ends up
If he
being,
doesn't end up starting at this point, I'm going to be
oh,
surprised.
if he doesn't end up, you're going to be surprised.
the way it's been written and talked
He's
about,
such a Chisholm
Okay.
hater, man.
No,
the hate's in the wrong place there. Don't assign my hate to Chisholm.
You don't
because I've
like
never even
the-
spoken to the man.
You don't
like
like
the
the mold. You don't like the
No, I don't like the
flowers.
reactions.
The manufactured hype.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, see, Evan,
That's-
Paul doesn't
It's
like people who try hard.
No.
It's
Again,
the piggybacking
please.
of the
He doesn't
takes.
like try hard.
Paul
You
is
work on
start
the
doing
rims,
this.
then.
Do not do this about the player. I don't know enough about the player to know if I like him or not.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen him. It's the gross overreaction to everything that I sort of push back on.
Okay.
Fair enough.
There's no like.
And he doesn't like people who try hard.
There's a lot of guys who try hard, Fred. Come on.
All right.
Don't be like that.
Curtis also
You're
says,
above that.
second question, agree or disagree? If Gonzo has a similar or better season this year, signing him to an extension next offseason is top priority.
I don't know if the top priority, but
Is he extension eligible?
I don't think you can.
I think
He
it
would
was
be
his third
that'd be
season.
his third season.
Yeah, I think. Don't you have to wait till the fourth?
I
They-
think
they would have
I
to
always
decide on his
forget
fifth-year
that
option,
dang
right? This-
rule.
this
Right, but then
spring.
he would be eligible after the third season.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
no. He's right.
Yeah.
I
You
talked
can do
myself
it,
out of that.
'cause
It'd be after the third
I don't know if
season.
the
He's
rules
right.
have changed because Brady did it
No.
after his third
Well,
season.
yeah, the rules have changed since
Okay,
then. But
all right.
but the emailer's right because he's talking after this year. That would be after the third year. Yes, you can decide on the fifth-year option and you can extend him at that point.
Yeah,
yes.
he's
I,
right.
I got all
It
confused.
it
there.
very well might be.
Math is very difficult for Paul.
I could see it being the top option and one of the top options. I mean, I haven't looked too far down the road with the free agents and everything, but absolutely. And it seems like from what we've seen with this regime that would be on the docket. With Bill, I don't feel like there will be any way that they're going to up him until last minute. But with Wolf, I mean, they certainly seem to have the cap space and all that stuff to be able to handle a big contract like that at that point. And who else is it going to go to? So, yeah, I think it's definitely something to watch out for.
Okay. Stephen in Ireland, quick question. Will we ever see a Patriots Unfiltered / Catch-22 crossover show where Barth comes on? Love both shows for their different styles, but just to see once a mashup of both of you at the table. Also,
we could do that on a Wednesday during the season.
We had Barth come in.
He did
one time. I remember
once,
Fred
yeah.
waving Barth in. I think to talk about something.
I
wasn't
think it was kickers.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I might have.
Yeah.
Also, Alex name dropping Isaiah Rashad last week as the last great music to come out was so on the money. Kudos, Alex.
Thank you for that.
Who's that?
I don't know that
A
name.
very good hip hop artist.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff in Canada. A couple off-season conversation starters. One, what is the best Patriots team from any era that didn't advance to play in a Super Bowl?
AFC Championship loss.
In any era. Well, 78.
76.
76, I mean, yeah. They were loaded.
I don't know. What did we actually asked Steve Nelson that question? Did we not? the
What
other
was
day?
better? Who was better?
76 or 78?
76.
And what did he say? Did he say 78 was better?
Don Brosher, the late, great equipment manager here.
Yep.
He said 78 was a better team.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I would say 78 then.
Yeah.
That was the rushing team, right? That was the team that set the rushing record, like
Yes.
over 2,000 rushing yards or something
Yeah.
like that.
3,000.
More, 3,000, sorry.
Yeah, I would say
3105.
I would say either of those teams, 76 or 78, relatively speaking, was a loaded team.
Because I think the teams in recent, the recent past that fell short of the Super Bowl probably got as far as they should have got. Like I don't really remember them getting upset in a conference championship
like
game.
06,
Maybe the Baltimore year.
06,
but,
they would have
thinking about
won
that.
if they had
But they weren't-
gone.
they
but
weren't a
that
great
team was overachieving like crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm just saying.
I
right.
would say the 2015 team
Is
probably.
that when Baltimore won the Super Bowl?
That's a good one.
2015 team.
That's a good one.
Edelman got hurt.
Yeah.
Was that the year that
Um,
Manning was
Yeah.
shell of himself?
Yeah, it was-
Yeah.
they
Yes.
lost in
Yeah,
Denver.
That's a
they went
really
to
good
15,
one.
and
I
they
think
should have
that-
thrown it to
yeah.
Gronk instead of
Yeah.
Edelman.
Yeah.
and
I think
Yeah.
that's the answer.
Yeah, that team was
I-
a
see,
wagon until the
I-
people started getting hurt. And
I would
stuff
say
like
the
that.
76 and 78 teams were better than that, personally.
Right.
Yeah.
But
in their era. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
One of them had Tom Brady.
That
so.
15 team was
Um,
really good.
Jeff-
Yeah, like I'm not comparing talent on teams. I'm
Yeah.
comparing like
I hear
Fred
you.
said. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah, the other one I would say.
so just like the 76 team, this, and our good friend G-Matt, Jerry told me, make sure you explain when you do like the little
Jerry
trips into
Madelon.
the
Yeah.
into the history.
Wayback Machine.
Yeah, so 76, just to let everybody know, the Oakland Raiders won the Super Bowl that year. They lost one game all year. They went 13-1. They went through the playoffs. They rolled to a Super Bowl. They really weren't tested. The one loss was a 48-17 loss to the Patriots here in Foxborough. And the one close playoff game was a game that a lot of people think was stolen away from the Patriots.
Phantom.
In a wild card game.
Yeah.
That was the
Um,
rough in the passer.
yeah.
The rough and the passer
Yeah.
game. So that tells you how good that Patriots team was relative to the rest of the league. No one else could play with Oakland. The Patriots pounded them once and were up 21-10 in the fourth quarter of the playoff game in Oakland and couldn't hold on.
Yeah, that was part of my conversation with Steve Nelson. I asked him if beating the Raiders in '85 still had some meaning after what had happened previously, and he said yes. And that's something I think that gets lost now. We're so used to free agency and teams changing so much that he kept playing into 10 plus 12 years because they had been with all those guys. Like it felt like that was a continuation all through the early 80s, that it was kind of the same team, the same players. A couple guys would change here and there, but he still felt that in '85. Like, we're the same team where we have all the pieces. They think 81, 82, those seasons, they had winning records. They just didn't make the playoffs. They were an okay team. So I think that gets lost, but it's so different watching those teams and looking at the teams around them. There was no turnover. It's pretty much the same. That's your team, and draft
I want
will
to
change a
say,
couple,
like in
but-
that era, so 78 was really good. They won 11 games. 79, I think they fell off a little bit because that was the year that Fairbanks had gone.
Yep.
Ron Earhart took over. 80, I think they won 10 games, didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
81, they fell apart.
Yeah.
I believe they went 2-14 in 81. But then they recycled and went to the playoffs in the strike year of 82. Ron Meyer, came in, sort of built them up. Then he left, and Berry got them to the Super Bowl in 85. They won the division in 86. So they did. I know everybody just thinks that
Right.
they always sucked
Right.
in the 80s, but they did have some good teams.
They did.
That defense was outstanding. I mean, watching it now, I have a whole new perspective on how good they were across the board. And not only
What
were
year
they
was
good,
Parcells here as a linebacker?
1980.
1980, and Nelson said
And
he's the best coach
I
he
think
ever
they went
had.
10-6 that year and didn't
Yeah.
make the playoffs.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Nelson that year, he had been, I think, 7 years pro. That was his first Pro Bowl. I think he was 5th place in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He said Bill Parcells was the best coach, but that 85 defense was stacked, and they also had guys that just played great that season too. Like Fred Marion came on and had so many clutch interceptions. I have such a new perspective on it after kind of watching those games. That it's
Jeff's answer is the 2010 team that was 14-2.
I was about
defense.
It's a good-
to bring that team up.
That's a good addition. I think that's another team that overachieved like crazy.
I would say
Terrible
like
defense.
out of the dynasty teams, like 06, 2010, 2015 would like qualify for that.
Yeah, no, it's a good addition to
I mean,
our
they
list.
had
Absolutely.
they still had no business losing to the Jets. Like they
Nope.
killed the Jets in the regular season. They
shouldn't have lost to the
lost.
Jets. I just
Yeah.
didn't think they weren't a 14-2 team.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have won it all, but they should not have lost to the Jets.
Second question, what is different right now if Vrabel was hired last January when he was available after Bill and Robert parted ways?
That's a good question.
What would
It'd
be
be a very
different
different
now?
team. It'd be a
The
very
draft
different
might have gone
team.
differently.
I think this is kind of a Paul thing, but I don't think he would have run it back with all the Patriot players.
Well,
he probably would have.
I think that's the
biggest thing is how
Yeah.
many guys would he have gotten rid of last year?
Everyone
Right.
got.
That's all would have
You
happened
get an
last
extension.
year.
Declined
You get
to
an
resign.
extension.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
You know, would he have resigned Ramondre to an extension a year early? I mean, that's a question, maybe,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things they did last year that I think he probably would have come in and wanted to put his own stamp on the team.
Jeffrey says, I think for Vrabel, the Mayo year is the best thing ever because it removes the pressure of being the guy who followed Bill.
That's so true.
But we might have signed Derrick Henry, so Deuce missed out.
I didn't even think of that.
That's
Thank you.
Yeah, good email, Jeff. Good, good
yeah,
conversation
I think it was,
starter.
I think it was Ashok brought that point up yesterday. I was talking to him about, I mean, unfortunately for Mayo, he kind of became the buffer year, and there's no real comparisons now to Vrabel and Belichick. He kind of has carte blanche now.
That's true. I mean, like, they tried that with Cam, though, and then, like, you were trying to clear the decks for Mac, but, like, it still felt like Mac was the successor to Brady. And I wonder if it ends up feeling that way with Vrabel.
This will be like the trivia thing. They're like, who coached in between?
Right.
It will be, especially if it works.
Yeah.
Well, to bring it to some other local Boston sports news, the Bruins hiring Marco Sturm. Now we're just like on this trend of every hire is a former player who played for the team that hired them, and so
Missoula's like the only one.
Right, but the Celtics have Sam Cassell on the staff who played for them. So like they have like every team now has a guy that has a connection to the team as a player, and all three Bruins, Red Sox, Patriots, they all played in the same era in Boston as well. In their respective
glory days.
teams. So it's cool.
It's so funny. I was talking about
cool.
this with my hockey buddies this weekend about just how different the public and sports fans view football coaches who are geniuses and the ones who make it work, and hockey coaches who get fired left and right. They're just kind of there for a little while to see if they can motivate guys, but there's no, you don't, the way you hold up, like the greatest football coaches of all time, Vince Lombardi. Like, you don't look at Scotty Bowman and say, like, he was a genius. Like, he was a great coach, but there's not that pressure on football coaches where they've got this secret playbook, they've got all the answers. And I don't know where you guys find basketball falls in that, but it's such a different perspective. Like, how many teams has Peter Laviolette, my cousin Pete, coached? Or, Mike Sullivan's got another job. Like, they just go from place to place. Football, you get maybe 2 chances, and then that's it. You're out. It's weird.
I'd say basketball has its fair share, like Red Auerbach, obviously.
Yeah, the triangle offense with Phil Jackson.
Yeah, Phil
maybe
Jackson,
being
Pat
like,
Riley. Like, those guys are
Plus, we're
held in
smaller
really high
guys. You
regard.
do set up plays. Hockey, there are plays and there's defenses and offenses, but it's so much more fluid that you're more training guys to react on the fly rather than get in position and go to these exact spots. It's not like that in hockey.
I feel like the more basketball evolves too, the less that becomes.
Yeah, I mean, current coaches like Rick Carlisle now taking the Pacers to the finals is like one of the best coaching jobs I've seen in a long time in the NBA, and that's pretty rare that you say that. Like, you don't really say that too often, but basketball too, you have all the college coaches, John Wooden and Coach K and Rupp from Kentucky and like all those guys. Like that's also a big part of it in basketball too, because those guys coach in college basketball for like 20, 30 years. Some of them stay at the same school.
Yeah.
So it's
baseball's
like an
weird
institution.
too, because you're kind of like part of the game, but you have to, you're controlling the flow a lot more in baseball, I would say, than maybe other sports. You're able, you're constantly chiming in with, what are we doing in this situation? What guy am I going to hit here?
Well, the
this
nerds just
matchup.
tell them,
Paul
hey,
reprimanded me the other day for talking baseball.
Oh,
it's a sport. He's a Hall of Famer.
reprimanded
I was
you?
talking about Brian Bay. I said, "Oh, he looked good." I said he was getting stronger as the night went. I said he's at his best when that fastball has that late movement.
That's what I laughed
and
at.
Paul's like, "Oh, okay." No one can talk baseball. That didn't play at BU.
I certainly wouldn't say that any pitcher for the Red Sox is better when that fastball is like moving.
Has that late movement.
That was the part that made me laugh.
It's true. I'm an observer of sports.
I would say that in general terms, coaches, all 4 sports, are vastly overrated in their like tactical approach, like the X's and O's.
I not football.
I think they all run virtually the same stuff. It's all about feel and when you're calling plays and how you're exploiting mismatches and what I'm going to call this play against this defense because I know it's going to work. Like, they're all running the same plays, like the same kind of concepts in general. I think that what separates guys is their ability to connect and motivate and lead. And that's why,
Right.
to Evan's point, like Mike Krzyzewski and all these guys, like, it's not because Mike Krzyzewski's running a different offense than Rick Pitino's running.
Right.
No, they all have their different philosophies and systems.
But in college, it's the more success you have, the more obviously stability you have,
Right,
and the
it
more the
builds.
school needs you to stay because for
Right,
recruiting.
it builds on it. It builds on itself and
Yeah.
sustains itself. And I do think in basketball, because there are fewer players, it's less important as to what you're sort
Well,
of
the better
breaking
your
down.
player is, the less like
Correct.
If LeBron's on your team,
Right.
you have less of an impact than Rick Carlisle has because Halliburton's probably their best player, but he's
Yeah.
not really a superstar.
Yeah, well, I think that's the cool part about what's happening in the NBA now is that it's really everybody's calling it like the weak link era because like really it's like you need to have 5 really good guys. And it's not so much about it's not like a LeBron dominating the league anymore. It's like which team has the best 1 through 5 in the league. Like
1 through 7.
Oklahoma City's going to win, and they have the best starting lineup and really the best like top 5 or 6 guys out of any team. Now they also have the MVP of the league, but like SGA is not going to go down as like a LeBron James, right? Like he's not going to be like an all-time great player. But the Celtics were kind of the same way last year, where Tatum's their best player, and it's arguable where he ranks in the pantheon. So it's a different kind of era in basketball now.
Tim, our friend from Duncan, writes in, the Patriots 76 team was one of the greatest teams to not reach a Super Bowl. I was at the 48-17 game, the hated Raiders. The roughing the passer call that lost the playoff game was one of the worst in history. That game would have been over. That is why the tuck rule was so satisfying to me.
The funny thing is you watch that play now. That's a penalty all day
That's a
long
penalty,
in this
a
NFL.
fine, and possibly a suspension.
right. Back in
But
the
it wasn't-
70s.
but it probably wasn't a penalty in the time.
70s. Right.
Fred.
He hit him in the head.
Yeah, I know. He hit him in the head.
Follow up
66
from
times.
last show. Fred, your thinking about bars of soap is all wrong. The soap companies will never change the shape or style because they don't care about the little nub that you have to deal with at the end of the bar. With how much you hate that leftover piece, you're still giving them your money regularly. They've won, and you've lost, unfortunately. Also, the rest of the guys that say they're using a loofah are probably just using a bath scrub, as loofahs are actually plants. They used to be used in the shower, but some cultures eat them in soups, stews, etc.
That's Mike. Mike uses it.
No, he's totally right. It's not really a loofah.
Do you replace it often?
I just use
It's
body
all
wash.
plastic. Not as much as I should, but I actually drown it in soap every day. So I'm hoping that maybe helps kill things out.
This is more information that I needed to know.
They hold on to a lot of bacteria.
Well, no problems yet. We'll see. I don't know. I only use it for my man bits, and
Wow.
Was it you that said
Nah,
the
this is even more
bits on this
information
list?
than I needed to
Well,
know.
you can't. I notice you gotta save your soap. You can't wash your hair that much. It's something I've discovered later in life. It dries you out. Right?
That's my problem.
Right?
It dries you out. Soap.
Chris and Colfax, the subject line says, Paul hates fun.
What?
I would love to see how long Paul would hold out on hating Julian Edelman if he were drafted to the team now, exactly how he was out of Kent State. Also, Will Campbell is 100% the guy Paul was thinking about swaying the coach staff in an interview. I
Hopefully
could
not.
see that.
Yeah,
Because he's such a,
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that. Actually, he has me confused with Fred and Mike, who are both anti-fun. You can't celebrate good plays. You can't do anything fun.
Choreographed.
But the Edelman comparison is actually a good one because the email is right. I was very slow to come around on Edelman
and Welker.
and Welker. But I would say I will do it when you give me reason to.
Yeah.
But they're both right. I was very late to the party on both guys because I wanted to see it. Don't just tell me that this guy's great.
Yeah.
Like sight unseen. Julian Edelman's first training camp was a disaster. He couldn't catch the ball in practice. He was dropping punts. He was slipping all over the field. Then all of a sudden he goes out in a preseason game and electrifies with a punt return for a touchdown. And you're like,
Ever heard of Wally Pipp?
maybe this guy's got something.
Who?
And I don't sit there for the next 7 years and say, he's not that good.
Yeah.
No, that's part of, like, sort of adjusting, admitting you're wrong, admitting this guy's got a little bit more to his case, and maybe learn something at the NFL level.
Yeah, I mean, in your defense too, how many of those guys were billed as the next Welker or the next Edelman or the next Troy Brown? In your time here, there were probably
I'm telling you, the
dozens.
list is at least 30 long.
What's the guy I like?
There's 3
Olszewski?
that did it.
Gunnar Olszewski.
Gunnar Olszewski's another one.
right.
Everybody told me how great he was. Mike, every single person.
He is an all-pro. Can't take that
Everybody
away
told
from
me
him.
this guy is this. This guy's unbelievable. He's the next one. Jeremy Ebert, Jeremy Gallen, T.J. Moe. Like there's
Barrios.
who's the guy that you fell in love with from Miami?
He's just
Jeff
blonde
Thomas.
Oh,
Jeff Thomas, another one.
But not in that mold. Jeff Thomas was.
I know
but
about Jeff
Barrios ended up having a pretty solid career. He has had a pretty solid career.
Stiff.
Yeah.
He's a borderline NFL player.
Barrios has had a nice career.
Everybody said he's Welker.
I feel like if he wasn't dating Alex Earl, would he still have
I'm not saying
bouncing around the league?
I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but Braxton Berrios has carved out an NFL career. Like it's not like
some of these guys that I'm talking about kicked around as like Austin
Nice
Carr,
guy, hard
another
worker.
one.
Yeah.
He played for the Saints. Like he had an NFL career.
Barrios has had a better
I think
career.
They all
Barrios is a little bit
said,
different.
but they all said they were Welker and Edelman, and it's so disrespectful to Welker and Edelman.
Right.
Those guys were special players, and none of these guys has even approached that. But I'm telling you, there's at least 24 that I could give you that everybody told me were going to be that.
Matt in Fort Worth, Texas. Like so many other loyal listeners of PU, I look forward to your show every week, and you guys truly help me and so many other listeners get through their day. That being said, I feel compelled by a sense of duty and responsibility for every other PU listener to call out our common enemy, Christian in L.A.
Oh, man.
Who's waiting?
Now
he's waiting.
On the line.
I was gonna. Don't sleep on this. Now
Mike,
I recently.
you're in Hollywood, Mike. You should know.
Now I recently left the Marine
Foreshadowing.
Corps after 7 years, and the only reason I bring that up is to say I've been through many, many situations that are extremely mentally and physically demanding, and none of it comes close to the pain and suffering I endure whenever a Christian in LA decides to pipe in and run his mouth every single show. I ran the math on how big of a problem this specific caller is. In a year, there were about 120 PU episodes. Assuming Christian in LA calls in and rambles for 2 to 4 minutes an episode, over the course of 1 year, his airtime accumulates to 4 to 8.5 hours per year. Now, PU isn't my show. I think that this egregious amount of time needs to be curtailed. Christian in LA, this is semi-lighthearted. Please stop with so many rambling, dumb questions. And so in rebuttal, I have Christian in LA on the phone right now. Christian, what say you?
I say I should ramble and go on tangents because apparently there are people out there in Patriot Nation that do not like Patriot fans. I am a Patriot fan, and whoever you are, if you don't like that, I think about my questions first as to not waste the guy's time and to maybe, just maybe, have another angle on what our Patriots are doing, that you, my friend, should become a Jets fan and beat the rest of the losers. That's my rebuttal to that guy.
Okay.
Now, on to my daily ramble. keeping on subject. If you guys had to do a karaoke song, let's say the Patriots would win the Super Bowl if you did, what would each of your go-to songs be? And part B of my rambling question is, based on their personality, what you know about them, what karaoke song do you think Bill, Tom, Julian, and Gronk would do? And yes, I'll take it off air so I can listen to the rest of the people hate on Christian from L.A. Good.
Okay. All right.
In Christian's defense, he called into Catch-22 and apologized to me yesterday for his Kendrick Bourne.
Who did he have you mistaken for?
Actually, your doppelganger, Scott Zolak. So he saed that it was Zoe, which didn't surprise me because he called us. We're at noon, and I guess it's from 10 to noon. He might have been listening to Zoe and Beetle and heard that. So he said it was somebody.
I respect that he called and apologized.
He
because
apologized.
I do not remember you waxing poetic about Kendrick Bourne.
Yes.
And you guys know me. I remember.
That's okay.
I remember random nonsense.
Don't worry
One thing about Christian is he has the moniker of the worst caller, and he owns it.
He does. He loves
He
being it.
is the worst caller.
Takes it
He
right.
He owns it.
He proves it
Yeah,
too.
right.
No, I'm just kidding, Christian.
So what would be your go-to karaoke song, Alex?
All right. I got 2.
She's ready.
I've
Did you expect
You
that?
have to have one.
I've
You have
won
to
a
have
couple
one.
karaoke contests in my day.
Oh.
I heard her sing the other day. She's a soprano. She has a wonderful voice.
I have a good
Mike
karaoke
Connor's
voice.
mouth.
If I wouldn't actually pursue singing because I would be like the try-hard girl, but I think I'm pretty good at karaoke. My mom's a good singer. I don't know. Musical household. I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston. I won a
song.
I won a karaoke
Whitney.
contest in New Orleans at the Cast Me Out with that song.
Wow. New
Number
Orleans.
2.
That's music central.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that on
No.
But Whitney
It's
Houston.
not,
Yeah.
sadly. Number 2, Dirty Little Secret by the All American Rejects. It's pretty unexpected, but it kind of like people
I
get
know.
riled up by it.
Nice.
I put a lot of thought into this,
Deuce,
clearly.
you've already in Nashville.
I've done a couple. Yeah, I mean, I did bust a move in Nashville for the boys. That was
You did it well,
kicking
too.
off. It was too
Now,
much.
it might have been the fact that I had 27 beers in me at the time, but I thought you did it well.
It was actually
Why so little for you?
It was early.
we haven't gotten into it yet. I used to do The Wanderer a little bit. The
Wanderer. It's another good song.
And I also did a big one at the Woodshed is Amy by Perry League. What you gonna do?
Wow.
So those are some ones I've done before, but I don't know. I'd like to do some Neil Diamond. I think I could do Cracklin' Rosie. I think I could do that one.
Okay. Evan?
Smash Mouth All Star.
Okay.
Would you
That's
play your
my
sax
go-to.
with it too, or is that?
Is that one? You're an all-star.
Yeah.
da-da-da.
Very
Okay.
easy.
Yeah.
Like
And the
no, not a lot of range on it, and
Big sax solo in the middle.
Verses are the verses are basically rap, so it's like
Evan's
you don't
singing a
have to-
monotone song.
Then I just
It's
have
like
I'm
a talk
shocked.
rock.
then I just have them play Careless
shocked.
Whisper so I can jam.
Yeah, I have no vocal range whatsoever. I cannot sing for my life, so I usually stick to some sort of rap. But like, you can't play. Some rap is inappropriate, so you have to play.
Friendly rap.
Yeah,
for the
Is
kids.
the
Exactly.
Fall Roller Coaster by Ohio Players? No?
I can't. You guys know how bad I am.
Yeah. But
Singing.
you got to
I
have a
can't.
song. You got to have a go-to.
The only song I've ever
Saturday
done
Night Fever?
at karaoke, I told you, was Like a Virgin
Like a virgin.
in
Okay.
college. I don't have a go-to karaoke
That's
song because
great.
I am legitimately one of the 5 worst singers in the history of the world.
To be honest with you, I can see that.
I'm a terrible singer.
You don't have
Honorable
the makeup
mention,
of a-
Jackson 5, I Want You Back.
Oh, that's a great
that's
song. I
You
love
think
that
that's
song.
what I should do?
You can take it from me. It was
Oh.
my honorable mention.
Oh,
I don't think you can hit those notes, Paul. Sorry.
No.
That's Michael Jackson.
I
like, 9
love to
years old.
sing. I just can't do it. I had Beth very, very concerned that I was going to sing Reasons at our wedding.
Yeah.
And I
She's
think
like,
at the
"Please don't."
like I just kept saying it, knowing I don't know if you know the song, like you talk about range
yeah.
and notes, like you
Are
need
you talking to
to,
Hoobastank right now?
like I could not have done it, but I think
That's
there
the
was a
song I'm
point
thinking.
like I finally
Is that what
looked
he's
at her and I
talking
said, "No, Reasons by Earth,
I
Wind
get
and Fire."
knocked
Yeah.
down.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
No, I
get
knew.
And
Like
the
you just can't, like there's no
reason is
possible
Not
way I would be able to
No,
sing
very
that.
different song.
And I finally, like a week before, I was like, you know that I'm not really going to do that, right? And she's like,
Oh, thank
I
God.
didn't think you were going to, but I was kind of getting worried about it. Like, no, I can't sing at all.
Ruin the wedding.
But I sang Like a Virgin at T's Pub in like 90, maybe 80, 88, 89.
They still talk
90.
about it.
Was
I
that
heard.
like was it ironic? Like, is that what you were going
I
for?
was in a bit of a slump.
Did it work?
No.
It was a message. It was more like karaoke. It was a message to the
But I also wasn't
female
alone.
population of
There was
Boston
There
University.
was a few other drunk baseball players doing it at the same time.
I was
I was in a bit of a
I was
slump.
at a bar in the Cave, and a friend of mine who thought he was a good singer
Oh.
was up there, and he did karaoke. So I rolled up a cocktail napkin, wet it, and threw it at his head.
That's funny.
And
That-
so he stops and yells at me. The next thing you know, the whole bar is throwing stuff.
You started a
at him.
movement.
But the thing is, he keeps singing. And he's hiding behind this half wall, and the whole bar is just like the air is full of just debris being thrown at him while he's singing.
What was that
It was the
question you
funniest
asked on the
thing.
newsletter a few weeks ago about who would be
Walk-up
the
songs,
best,
or?
the best like backstory or I was just like Fred. Fred has done.
Oh,
more.
I have karaoke backstory.
No.
When I got arrested in Dallas,
for karaoke.
Yeah, no,
Tell me
it was
more.
after I sang karaoke.
Oh, it wasn't for
that
your
bad.
karaoke. You didn't get arrested. Noise
Get that
violation.
guy. You broke all the windows.
Did not know that
Yeah.
one.
What's your song, Fred?
I would say it's either Mac the Knife
Oh, that's good.
Or
Great.
The Way You Look Tonight.
Great.
Oh, great song.
So I could probably try to do a Frank.
Yeah.
Like
I
The
was
Way You
gonna
Look
say,
Tonight,
I
something
feel
like
like
that.
Yeah.
I feel like
Summer Wind.
that's a good
maybe?
key. That's an easy key
got
for the
that.
voice to sing.
Got
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
I could do Summer Wind.
Could I tell the Matt
Fly Me
Collins
to the
story
Moon?
real quick with Frank?
another-
that's
another
good.
great song.
That's good.
Just a quick story from Media Day yesterday. So they play music for all the stuff that we do, and guys come in and they want their different songs and stuff, and try to be accommodating, getting them in the mood and stuff. And so finally Matt Collins comes in near the end of the day, and they're like listing off all the stuff they've been playing for his teammates, and he was like, "Oh man, I hear that stuff at practice all the time. Put on some Frank Sinatra." So he's got like that first song. I don't know what it is. It's a duet. Let's say "I Love You." I don't know what the title was, but then as he was walking, I was like, "Make sure you leave that on for all the rookies too." So it's just kind of funny. He's a cool dude. I like Matt Collins.
I thought you would do
their foot in the park.
I know,
Was he
yeah.
wearing shoes?
He had shoes on. Yeah, he totally.
I
did.
thought you would do one of your Fred Zeppelins.
Fred Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, mama, say the way you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
Love the Zepp.
There you go.
Love Zepp. Yeah.
Wow.
Fred
it.
Zeppelin.
Taking his music serious.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Sam and Charlotte, speaking of Media Day, when did the helmets change color? It looked more gray than silver on Facebook to me. I think that's your Facebook.
Yeah, silver.
Adjust your
Same
mind.
helmets.
Turn
Adjust your
brightness up.
Facebook.
Turn
Same
the brightness
helmets.
on your monitor up.
All right. You know what? It's time for a break because
your food's here.
Yeah. A lot more emails, a lot more calls. I see the call line filling up. We'll get to that right after this.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
I think you have to have a starting point. So there's going to be a way to speak, a learning of the language. We talked about that, maybe a couple months ago. And then really it's just going to be about giving them some things to go out and do on the practice field. And then learning what they do well, how much they can process, what style we should play. And I've always kind of believed that the players will dictate what that ends up being. We don't know that today. I can tell you that right now. There's a lot we still haven't done for the first time. We're just getting into third down. We haven't got into the red zone. I mean, there's so many other situational things that we haven't even touched on yet. So we're still in the learning phase of our offense. Guys getting great opportunities to go out, and I feel like at this time of the year, it's either a good play or we're going to learn from it. So there's a positive result either direction, and that's the kind of mindset that we're taking.
How long does the process usually take, Josh?
A long time. We know when the games start. Look, if it could be done by now, we would snap our fingers and have it be finished. But I would say that's been true for every season that I've ever been a part of a team and an offense. It's just whether you're coming back with a bunch of guys that are returning and they kind of know it, or you're not. There's always a period of relearning and recommitting yourself to the little things, the details that it takes to run a good play, let alone a good drive or a good practice or a good game. There's so many little things that everybody needs to do. There's a trust that's being built right now on the field. The more we do well, the more guys can trust each other, and we're continuing to focus on those things and emphasize the kind of identity that we want to create here.
Stephon hasn't been here for everything that you guys have done. How concerned are you about that missed time, and what is he missing right now? You just mentioned it's an important time to kind of develop that togetherness.
Yeah, I again, it's a voluntary part of the year. We know that. I don't know if we've ever had perfect attendance at these things in general. As a coach, selfishly, you love it when they're all here because you feel like you got them all in the classroom and all in the field and all the rest of it. He's here today, and we're excited to have an opportunity to work with the guys that are out here and available to us. So I know he's staying up on the information and the material. And there's so many things and opportunities for us to teach all our guys going forward between the rest of the practices here in the spring and then going into the summer and the many days we have before we actually kick the ball off in September. So I'm not concerned about Steph in that regard.
Josh, how is Drake acclimated to your system thus far, and what's been sort of your biggest teaching point with him this spring?
I mean, he's doing really well. He's very smart, works really hard. I think the quarterback room in general is really, really good in terms of putting the time and effort in at this point in time in the year. And like I said, we either make a good play or we learn from the result. And so sometimes as a coach, and nobody wants to hear this, but sometimes as a coach, the negative results can actually be your best teachers because you have a play where something didn't necessarily go your way or the right way, and then you learn from it. And then the biggest key for us as we go forward is when we learn from a mistake is can we go out there the next day and not repeat the same error. And so I think he's doing a really good job of digesting the information, processing the corrections when there is a correction to be made, and then go out there with a great attitude and mindset the next day. And I'm excited for today.
Has he been repeating any errors at all so far?
Say over time, Tom.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
Has he been repeating any errors so far? Are there more learning?
Not many. Yeah, he does a really good job of listening to it, and then when you go out there the next time, and you see the same kind of look or the same problem that the defense presents to you that was presented previously, generally speaking, he's a quick study on that, and that's a good thing for a young player.
You've been in this league for 25 years. You know the expectations in May, June, July, August, when teams and people like us start saying, this guy's going to have a great year.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen with Drake because of the improvements you guys have made on the field, the sidelines, etc., and because he's a second-year player. How do you prepare him for what could be extremely lofty expectations that people are going to expect a return on?
I think if I know him very well, which I'm learning more and more about him every single day, he's going to place high expectations on himself. I know that for sure. We're certainly going to want to try to get the best result out of our quarterback position every play that we can. And I think that's all we can control. We can't really control outside expectations. We're certainly going to try to do the very best we can with our opportunities. And I see a guy that has a great attitude and mindset about coming out here and trying to be the best version of himself that he can be. And I know that that's what he can control. It's what we can control as coaches. And hopefully we meet our expectations, which will eventually meet yours.
In terms of the offense overall, how have you felt about the unit's ability to learn from mistakes and continue to grow? And how helpful has it been having some veterans who've been in the system maybe help some other guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, I think the mistakes are opportunities. That's how I look at them at this time of the year. If we make them now, you hope that we learn from them, grow from them, and then eventually don't make them when they start keeping score. So I think the veteran guys that have had some experience in our system have been very helpful. They're working hard. They give some little bits of advice here and there when it's necessary or applicable, but everybody's going out there trying to do the best they can with their opportunities. Everybody's getting reps right now, which is the great part about this time of the year, and go out there and make some good plays, and if we make a mistake, we learn from it and get better.
And now, great moments in history.
That wasn't a trick play, by the way. That's a pass to your fullback.
It's a little bit of a trick.
It's not a trick play.
Of course it is. It's a pass to a defensive player.
No.
Just like it's a pass, just like the Bills play. It's not a trick play. They threw the ball to the tight end. But it was a tackle.
Right.
It's a trick play.
Yes.
This guy was in the game as a fullback.
Yes, and
So
that
was the
guy was in
Miami
the game
guy.
as the
I
tight
mean,
end.
that-
Deion Dawkins was the tight end on that
So
play.
if it was Devlin, would that have been a trick
No,
play?
he's the fullback.
So was the Landon Roberts.
Okay, so the
Bills
the
play
Buffalo
wasn't a
Bills
trick
guy
play
was a tight end.
Yeah, that was a trick play.
Of course it was.
Of course.
But that was
You had a guy playing out of position that you threw the ball
Landon
to.
Roberts plays all the time as a fullback.
And you don't think the guy in Buffalo is the extra tackle all the time?
This is not a trick play. It's not a trick play.
So no, answer the question. The guy in Buffalo is not the extra tackle
First of all,
all the
they
time.
had 2 eligible tackles on that play. That was a trick play.
Of course it was a trick play, just like this one was.
Yes. This was your fullback. He's always eligible.
Okay, so
he has to wait a minute.
What-
he has
what
to
is the
report
def-
as eligible
Because of his number.
what is the definition?
Because of his number.
What is the definition of a trick play to you?
Yes.
Razzle dazzle, that type of thing.
You have so many rules, I can't even
flea
keep track of them.
flickers.
That's another great moment from
I know I was right because Eric was on the other side of the argument.
I'm on your side.
I'm coming with Fred, too.
That's the first time I think I've ever heard him
Landon
even
Roberts
talk
had
about
been
football.
established as a fullback for many games.
Your
there was no
rationale,
trickery
your
to
rationale was that the fullback is always eligible. So is the tight end.
it. Yeah.
So when a tackle's playing tight end, he's always eligible.
I understand, but in this case...
It was a dumb argument on
no,
your part.
in this
They're the
ca-
same thing.
In this case, Landon Roberts had been established as a fullback. If you had scouted...
Right, and the extra tackle as a tight end is established as that.
So maybe that's not trickery either.
Okay.
So if you
said it was.
scouted the Patriots, for Landon Roberts as a fullback, they throw to him. That's not a trick.
Once.
It's not a trick.
They threw to him once.
Paul is right about that, but I agree with Fred because he was playing fullback regularly,
Right.
And it wasn't like a tricky formation or anything
Exactly.
like that. It was he leaked out in the flat. Nobody covered him because he was a linebacker playing fullback, and he was wide open.
My argument was that it's either a trick play or it's not. There's no differentiation between the tackle is the third tackle. Is Nate Solder, was that not a trick play when he caught the touchdown in the AFC Championship? If you say no, then I'm fine with saying that this isn't either.
Sure, I would say that that's more of a trick play, but that's mostly
Tackle
because they're
eligible
going
stuff,
unbalanced
right?
and it's a different
Yeah.
formation.
Yeah.
This
It's a
was
trick.
This was a regular formation.
No, I think it's kind of tricky. Yeah,
Trick.
I think that one's kind of tricky.
I agree. That's why I think there's similarities.
But he also was playing kind of the same position he usually plays.
Right. There was
Well,
no
Landon
trick
Roberts
to it.
doesn't usually play fullback. He played 15 plays of fullback. They threw it to him once.
That's a lot, 15 plays.
He played a lot of
Sort of
plays
tackles.
fullback.
No, but
There's a third tackle. You don't think they did it 15 times last year with a third tackle?
Yeah, tackle eligible.
Right.
Right.
And they throw it to you once.
Yeah.
But you're out there a lot.
Yeah. It's different.
This one will never
It's
die.
different.
I'm with Fred.
I'm with you, Evan.
I'm with Fred.
Well,
No, I
this
feel
is
good.
this is one of those times where we agree. I would say that also Landon Roberts delivered one of the best quotes of all time for
run
any
through
Patriot.
an MFer's
Yeah,
face.
but he was about to run through my MFing face one time because I asked him about playing fullback, and he did not like the line of questioning. He did not want to. I'm a linebacker. Don't ever refer to me as a fullback.
So
And
he
I was
would
like,
have said it's a trick play too.
Yeah, but I was
Landon
like,
Roberts.
bro, you're doing great at fullback. You just caught a touchdown.
Shut up!
Yeah,
Don't ever say that again.
yeah, and I had a great relationship with him, but I
that
remember
moment.
being in those scrums where he was like,
Keep my position out your
yeah,
mouth.
literally stop calling me, don't ever refer to me as a fullback. I was like, dude, you're
That's
kind of
funny.
killing it. Dude. Like, what do you mean?
You got to touch the ball. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
scored a touchdown.
It was funny.
I missed a lot not being in the locker room when we started doing the pre and post games. I missed a lot of that
Just
stuff.
for the record, Landon Roberts, great guy. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. But it was just
he was great.
Yeah.
He's from
Linebacker,
Houston. Remember,
through and
he
through.
went to
Yeah.
Houston. What an unbelievable rundown he gave us of where to go in Houston.
Oh yeah.
Before that Super Bowl, he was great.
Yeah.
Nice, really nice guy.
Marcus Jones not as and Landon Roberts was a tense guy, but Marcus Jones also, when you ask him you ever think about playing receiver full time, he'll immediately shut that down too. He's like, no, I'm a corner. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Shut your mouth.
855-PATS-500 is the hotline. Let's go to it. Dominique's in New York. What's up, Dominique?
Hey, y'all, how you doing?
Hey.
All right.
Good. All right, first and foremost, there's a little bit of soap talk already. I got to say and recommend to anyone, if you're still using a loofah or a body scrub or whatever, make sure it's silicone. It works perfectly well. I can't get too much in the soap debate because I'm like a body wash guy. So Method Man, phenomenal. Dr. Bronner's phenomenal. That, that's that.
Okay, silicone loofahs.
Yeah. Gotta try it. But yeah, just a quick question. So for y'all, I know the NFL has has awards for obviously Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. I think they have the Big Buckets Award for the pros as well. I know they do it in college. Would you like to see other awards similar to the Big Buckets Awards, like applied to the defensive backfield, running backs, wide receivers, et cetera, or do you think that would like kind of make it a little bit too crowded in terms of awards given out at the end of the year? And then just the last point, Alex, Isaiah Rashad is great. The Sun's Tirade is my favorite album for the squad, favorite song, and I'll take it off mine.
All right, thanks, Dominic. So expanding the award categories in the pros.
So they added a Protector of the Year award with single individual offensive line award, which is, I think, more than enough. Like, I think if we do every position, it's getting a little crazy.
In college, when they have like the Dick Butkus Award, is there also like a committee and a dinner and a way to make money off of that too?
Yeah, and like there's like the Mackey Award for the tight ends,
right?
And, the Billett for the receivers, and
Groza for the kicker.
What
they have one for every position.
What's the quarterback one? I forget what it's called.
I don't know.
Is it Doak Walker or one of those?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
No,
Well,
probably not.
I agree with Evan generally. I would say,
Doak
though,
Walker
I'd
would
be
be
open to
running
like a
back.
kicker award. I think that'd be kind of fun, like kicker of the year.
I think there are
like,
too many awards.
Okay.
Let's pull back.
What would you pull back on? Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year?
Fred,
what
award would I eliminate in the NFL?
Comeback of the Year.
There you go.
Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah.
What are you coming
Comeback
back?
back.
What are you coming back from?
Well, that one's like
war.
I think
or cancer.
I can't.
Yeah, if somebody went and served in the war and came back.
That'd be
okay,
the Ted
he
Williams
deserves to
Award.
come back.
Rocky Blyer.
Fought 47
Right, we'll
missions
give it to
over
Rocky
Japan.
Blyer for coming back from Nam.
Right.
The issue with that award is that it some people get nominated that are really most improved.
Yeah.
And not necessarily comeback. So NBA has the most improved player award, which I think might be more what the NFL is going for, but they just call it the comeback player of the year. And usually it's somebody coming off a major injury that
Alex
has
Smith.
a bounce back
Alex
season.
Smith should have gotten an award. He
Yeah.
came back and played football on a mangled, deformed lower leg. Like that deserves
Almost
an award.
died.
But the
Yeah.
other guys, I don't know.
I don't care for offensive
And I like
and
Alex Smith.
defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
There's one rookie of the year.
I agree with
Like
that too.
like I don't understand that why we differentiate offense defense. It's like MVP, right? There's not offensive MVP and defensive MVP. There's just MVP.
Yeah.
So like I don't know why that award is split into two, but I do like the offensive line award because they're never going to win any of these things. So to like have a award that just recognizes offensive line because they're never winning rookie of the year, they're
could hear
never
that
winning
argument.
MVP.
Yeah, because they're never going to be in line for any of those awards. So give them an award.
But I think you could also argue that it'd be way more rare for a defensive player to win defensive or rookie of the year if it's not separated.
That's
I feel
a
like
good
it
point.
would just go default to offensive.
Yeah,
Sacks or interceptions.
that's fair.
'Cause that's
your
what's
only
flashy.
way. That's the only
Yeah.
way you're going to get
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Nah, see, I don't know about that.
No? You could get a depoy without leading
Maybe
sacks
like
or
maybe like a
interceptions?
corner if he has like a
Yeah.
bunch of picks and pick sixes.
Like
and
I think
stuff.
a defensive
Maybe.
player could have been the rookie of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
But
just
it-
saying
it-
you would have to. You
I would
probably have to
agree.
have sacks or interceptions.
Like
in
MVP
a
would be
bunch.
hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. London is in Great Barrington. What's up, London?
Hey, hello, guys. Hey, yeah, no fight of me today. You know, I mean, it's too beautiful to be angry. So, yeah, but I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the wide receiver room. Like, how do you guys see that shaking out? You know, how many players do you think they're going to carry? Because, I don't know, Evan, I don't know if you follow Pat's stats, but he's a really good follower. Like, this guy, I don't know if he's a kinesiologist or what, but like, this guy really gets into, like, the just the body mechanics of each player.
What's it called? Pat Stats?
Pat Stats, yeah. Just to shout out another guy in the community, you know what I mean? If you feel like getting
I wouldn't have
done,
guessed that.
You know, you should keep running. But,
That the guy
yeah,
knew the guy.
yeah, he said something about Kayshon Boutte or whatever. That he plays X, but he's like better at leveraging, going inside like on slants and stuff. You know, like he's like a poor man's Landry on the Browns, or like Juju Smith-Schuster, if you will. But I just wanted to ask you guys how you see that shaking out, like especially with like he had Pulk and
what's the other guy that we just picked up, the free agent?
Hollins?
Bills. Hollins,
Oh,
he had
yeah.
Hollins on the starting off on the pup. You know, and
Well, it could be.
I was just wondering, like, how do you guys see that shaking out? Kendrick, I'm worried for Kendrick Bourne. I think he would be good because he had a great year, however many years ago. But
All right.
just curious about your opinions on that, guys.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, London in Great Barrington.
I think it's all on
He
the
threw
table.
me off because I said, okay, his name's London, but he's from Great Barrington, Rhode Island. But then he came on and he had like a UK accent, or
You
you
sound
know,
like I'm
so
Could be Great Barrington, Mass, too.
could.
I
Right,
was
that's
thinking it was
true.
from Barrington, Mass.
How many
Yeah.
Great
Oh,
Barringtons
Great
are there?
Barrington, Mass. But
Anyway,
only one is great.
How do you feel the wide receiver room will shake out?
I think it starts with health.
$1,000,000 question.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it starts with health with Diggs, because I think that's a spot that if he starts on PUP, they'll have an extra spot to carry someone else.
So you really have to look at, like, how will it look in November? Because
think they'll keep
these
6.
guys could start on PUP that he mentioned.
Yeah.
no, that's definitely a possibility.
It makes the decision a little easier for them and
I
gives
feel
it more time
like
to
it's
play
going to
out.
come off as really disrespectful. Like the only thing I really concern myself with is Diggs. Is if he is good enough to be their best, I don't care who the other 5 are.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's not, then they have trouble. That room is not good enough.
Yeah, I think there's always there's a place for Pop. I think there's definitely a place for Pulk. I think he's trending towards being ready.
I'm not sure that there is.
No,
I
and I
lean
think that's
Boutte more than
debatable.
Polk.
I
think Kyle Williams is a lock.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle Williams and Diggs are going to be on the team. Whether Diggs starts on PUP,
Right.
we'll find out. But
I think everything else is up in the air.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was going to say.
And this is what I like about it is what we talked about last week is just let them compete and let it be survival of the fittest.
Yep. Yeah, I
and
mean,
if Boutte is better than Bourne, then he stays. If he's not, then Bourne stays. Or if they're both better than Polk and Baker, then those 2 stay. And I can make an argument for any of those players. And we talked a little bit about Douglas and Chisholm last week. If Chisholm's better than Douglas, keep Chisholm.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed in how we've seen limited 3 practices, but just a little bit disappointed in Javon Baker. I was hoping that maybe he'd turn a page and that, so he's still got some time, but it's tough. They realize there's 12 guys in the room, 6 probably are going to stay. I think Mac Hollins is probably more of a lock than some people think. I think they have a specific purpose for him.
Who was it? One of your guys, Paul, I think. Maybe Giardi said that he could be a
I've had
surprise
a couple of people
Yeah.
tell me that they have him as a surprise cut candidate.
Yeah.
Mac Hollins. I'd be
surprised.
I'd be genuinely surprised, and I'm not making fun of that because
Well, that's the exercise,
you don't say a
right?
surprise cut is John Giles.
Yeah.
That's not a surprise cut.
Right. But I would just I'm with Deuce with Mac Hollins. He might not be one of the 5 or 6 best guys, but I think his leadership and his veteran experience is something that they take
I
a
would
lot
be
of pride
genuinely
in.
surprised
Right.
if he
So
got
they,
cut.
I agree.
If it's close between him and one of the draft picks from last year or something, just having the veteran in the room and the adult in the room, I feel like that's why he's here. He's kind of here, no offense to his skill set or anything, but he's kind of here to babysit a lot of these
So
other
we'll
guys.
see how it works out. We'll have a chance to watch, the entirety of training camp. But just spitballing, Diggs,
Yep.
Williams, Douglas, Boutte.
That's the 4. I would say that's
Who
the
am I
top
other-
4. That's
Matt
the top
Hollins,
4. And Hollins.
Matt
Hollins is 5.
Efton Chisholm.
Efton Chisholm is 6.
Chisholm.
So no room for
Polk and Baker.
Baker, Bourne.
Yeah.
Are we all okay with that?
No, I'm gonna go. I'll go down with the ship on Polk. I think he's gonna make it. I think he'll carve out a role. I mean, I
So,
totally
I'll
respect
tell
the
you
debate on that.
Another thing
but-
that I've been hearing a lot, and I heard this on my shows as I was driving home last week. A lot of people, they don't have room for Polk on the roster.
Mhm.
So I don't know if this is coming from inside. I don't know if people are just throwing it out there, because I think it's easy to watch these OTA practices, and Polk isn't physically ready to play yet.
Yep.
So you put him on the back burner and you say he's not going to make it.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
He hasn't really practiced yet.
Yeah.
But there's too many people telling me that they don't think Polk is a lock for the roster for
Yeah.
me not to think. I don't think he's a lock.
Well, I don't
think he's
know
a
if I
lock.
would
I
say
don't
that
think he's a lock. My opinion. I think he's gonna have a good camp and he's gonna make the team and he's gonna contribute. I look at it.
Well, I think if
I'd be stunned if
where
those
that's
last two
coming
things
from is
happen.
That he has a good camp and makes the team.
No,
that
it's
he's
that Polk wasn't
productive.
a Vrabel guy last year. Usually
Yeah.
your second round pick, you give him a couple years, and I think those people are saying Vrabel has no connection to him.
Yeah,
Right.
I think he'll make the team.
Yeah, I do
But
too.
I'd be stunned if he's
I
really,
don't
really
think
good.
he's going to make the team.
And not only to that point you just made, Fred, not only does he have no connection to him, but you can go back and see how he kind of handled adversity in his rookie year. And, I mean, it left a lot to be desired, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm giving him a chance again. I mean, I look at it, what skill sets do these guys bring to the team? And in a perfect world, I think you want Jalen Polk's skill set on this team. I think he's one of the bigger, stronger receivers that they have. Now, again, he hadn't, to Alex's point, he didn't live up to that last year. We saw a little bit of it in training camp. But I think that's a great player to debate about. I mean, you can say, I don't think, I'm not saying he's a lock. I'm not, other than the four guys you said, but I do believe in his skill set, and I think he has something to offer this group.
Anthony from Cape Coral writes in, player 1 has 37 catches, 481 yards, 2 touchdowns. The player is Nico Collins. Player 2 has 43 catches, 589 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The player is Kayshon Boutte. My point for this is all the people that want Boutte gone, he has shown progress. Why would we not let him continue competing? It's possible he could continue to develop into a more productive receiver. I'm not saying he's Nico Collins. Or
What year were those?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Nico Collins early on in his career had a slower burn, but
year 2.
There's
so
different.
Davis Mills was his quarterback?
And there's also different
know.
like the situations in the rooms were different. Like Kayshon,
That's what I'm saying.
Kayshon Boutte had the opportunity, right out of the gate. Whereas I don't think that was the case for Nico Collins with Houston. Nico Collins kind of had to earn a role. Whereas last year, it's like you look around the wide receiver room and it's not much competition, right? So, but I hear what he's saying on I don't want to give up on Kayshon Boutte either.
No.
But I don't necessarily look at Kayshon Boutte and say, well, he's going to take another step and all of a sudden he's going to be a 1,000-yard guy. I think this is kind of what he is.
The more I see Boutte, the more he grows on me.
Yeah, I think he's really making the most of OTAs right now.
I just don't like the
he leads
whole,
the drills off.
The whole Nico Collins thing to me falls flat. They're not similar in any way.
Yeah.
Like they're not really.
No, it's easy to pull the stats. I mean, and Nico Collins had that breakout game here, right? Was that in the preseason where all of a sudden he just seemed like it was really starting to click for him? Like that, maybe that was just for me, but that's what he got him at.
Like C.J. Stroud came in and all of a sudden he became a 1,000-yard receiver. I wonder how that works. But Boutte had Drake May.
Yeah. But and Boutte
for most of the year.
Boutte and Drake May, I think, have developed a pretty nice chemistry, which is one thing that's in his favor. As a holdover from last year, and they have a little bit of a rapport. He runs the routes that Drake May likes to throw. Out on the outside, whether it's the go routes or the corners or things like that. So they have a nice feel to their game together. I'm not ready to give up on Kayshon Boutte. I just would say 500, 600 yards is kind of where I think his career is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't necessarily think that there's another step for him, but maybe there will be, and I would keep him on the team as of now. I just think, with Jalen Polk, it's not even health. There's just no precedent for having the rookie season that he had and then being good.
Well, let's put it this way. If it's Diggs and Kyle Williams and Boutte has 500, 600 yards, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, right. Let me know what Diggs and Boutte.
Well, no, they're
Williams
1
did.
and 2, and they have 1 and 2 receiver numbers.
So you think Williams in rookie year is going to be more than 600 yards?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be that good, but I always think about it with Boutte, can he be Dante Stallworth to, the rest of the group in the 07, right? Where he's truly the third or fourth guy, but he's out there, and when he's open, he gets the ball and he makes some plays. Some plays. Like that. That's how I view Boutte.
That Gaffney Stallworth.
Gaffney's
Gaffney might even be the better one.
Those guys were good value that year.
Diggs and Williams. Diggs and Williams are the
contributors.
only two that I think are 100% absolute locks, and I would hear other comments on any of the other receivers. Doesn't mean I don't like Boutte. I think I agree with Paul. He's really came on in this camp, like Alex
Paul said, let him compete.
Yeah, no, that's
survival of the fittest.
And there's going to be an injury that you don't see coming.
Let him stay on
Do we have any inclination as to what Polk's even dealing with right now?
It's a shoulder.
I think it's the
and
surgery,
he got in
right?
a little bit with a yellow penny on into one of
Yeah.
the team periods. So I think he's trending towards being ready.
Yeah, it's not even, like I said, it's not the injury. I think he'll have his opportunity to try to make the team and make a push and all that. I just I've looked at the numbers and a guy that catches 12 passes.
Evan, there's more to sports
as
than
a,
numbers.
as
okay?
a rookie.
No, last year was an abject failure for him, but
Yeah.
There was something going on, and maybe he can turn it around.
I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying he would be an absolute anomaly to go from the production he had last year to a productive NFL player. And I don't know if they have the time.
But
to be
along
way-
those lines,
you
like
know.
he's an absolute anomaly already for me in the production he had in camp to absolutely doing nothing. And so I don't know. It's just
I don't
it's
know.
weird.
I watched
it's
it
weird.
with Tyquan Thornton.
Yeah,
I
don't
watched
know.
the same thing with Tyquan Thornton when he was a rookie. He
I don't
was
know.
very
I was
productive
never
in
that
camp.
impressed with Tyquan.
I would.
The bodies
yeah,
for
not the
Tyquan was
catching,
just so
the
hard
running,
to get
but
by.
he didn't catch a lot of balls.
In camp,
Yeah,
caught a
Tyquan
million.
Thornton.
Caught everything thrown his way.
Yeah.
He didn't catch the 4-yard passes that Pulk did, but he went down the field and caught
I
the
wasn't
ball.
impressed that much.
Taekwondo too, it's like a thing
Okay.
of physics. Like, how can you be that skinny?
Yeah,
And,
no.
like-
I'm just telling you, as a rookie in training camp, he looked the part.
Mhm.
I did not call him a bust based on his rookie year, and I wasn't overly impressed with Polk's training camp last year. It was another one that I was, off in the ether, the old guy yelling into the wilderness that no one was listening to. I would agree with Evan. I don't predict the future. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I'm just telling you, based on what I've seen, I don't see the ability. That's why I'd be surprised if he was overly productive. I don't see, not to go all analytic, I don't see a plus skill set. What is it that he does really well? It's like the Red Sox right now. What do the Red Sox do well? Nothing.
Yeah.
They do nothing
Every
well.
5
I
days,
don't know
Garrett
what
Crochet.
Polk
They have
excels
one
at.
starting pitcher.
I thought he was going to be sort of like a physical possession kind of receiver,
Jacoby
and then he started
Myers.
dropping the ball all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure he does that well.
That was
I don't
my-
think he
yeah.
runs away from people. I don't think he runs great routes, and I don't think he has a great attitude. So I'd be very, very surprised if he turns out to be a productive player.
The separation stuff in college was the big question. If he was his success or failure was gonna hinge on whether he could get open at this level, with his speed and with his athleticism, and that piece of it didn't necessarily translate. So now everything is finishing through contact at the catch point, right? He's going to be in crowds. He's going to have coverage on him. And can that skill set translate the hands and the play strength at the catch point?
Right.
And when it didn't as a rookie, like to Paul's point, that was just worrisome. So if that's not going to be his calling card, is the strong hands and the ability to box guys out and things like that, and he's not going to separate, then how is he going to be ultra productive in the NFL? I'm not trying to bury the guy, but I just
if Mike ends up being right, yeah.
But last year they said it themselves that they're thrusting him into being like the guy, and he couldn't handle it, so it mentally fell apart. I think Fred's thing, if Diggs and Williams are productive, you don't have to worry about him running away from guys. He can work underneath. I like him in a complementary role more than I like Boutte.
See, I would worry about his mentality if he was that. I think he thinks he's much better than that.
Yeah,
so
but
I worry
think
about
you're-
him.
But see,
sort of
I also think
adapting
you're
to
basing
kind
that.
of a role.
I think you're basing that on him saying, "I think I have the best hands in the NFL."
Yep.
And that you catch a rookie in a bad moment, trying to stay confident, and I believe in myself, and I can do what I want. And you can take that as that, or you can take it as
But I'm gonna
this
be
guy's
fair
head
now.
is in the clouds, and he has no idea what he's doing.
I'm
I
gonna
took
be
it
fair
as
now.
this is a rookie kid who isn't quite polished. He's having tough times right now, and he misspoke a little bit. So
And
I'm
the
not holding that
leadership,
against
too,
him.
last year.
But
he
you're
has
making it
terrible
out to be it was
character.
like a one-time thing that he misspoke a little bit. I think he had
Well, he
several
thought he had his
examples.
feet down. He said, "I
Before
thought I
he
had my
ever
feet
even
down."
put on a game uniform, he told the media that he didn't need the fans with him because they're not with him. If you're not with them, we don't need you. Like, he rubbed me the wrong way
Yeah,
before he ever
that's
even
fair.
before the
The
first
worst
preseason
thing for me
game.
was when he undermined the head coach. When the head coach was
Yep.
trying to smooth over, take the pressure off him.
There were several
and he
examples.
undermined Mayo. And it's like,
That's a
your
good one.
coach is trying to keep you afloat here with the media. Just go along with it. Don't.
No,
But I also want to be
said.
fair because there are things that worry me about Boutte in that regard too. And he had another one that I thought showed a lack of sort of awareness last week. In the aftermath of the Diggs thing, I think he spoke that day. And he told us all, no, yeah, Diggs hasn't been around much. I don't think that he should have said that. Like, I worry a little bit about the mentality. Now, the reason I'm okay with Boutte is because I think he's produced.
Yeah.
So he might not always talk the way I think that maybe it's I've been ingrained in listening to Patriots talk over the years. Well, Pulk has sort of put his foot in his mouth a few times, and he hasn't produced.
No argument.
He insisted that he caught the ball in San Francisco. He didn't. He insisted that he caught the touchdown against Miami. He didn't. I think Alex brings up a great point about Gerard's sort of saying, you know, you kind of like mentally, he's fighting it a little bit. No, I'm not. Like, I don't have mental problems. Like, there were a lot of examples of him showing a lack of awareness and maturity last year, not just the one time where he claimed he had the best hands in the league.
Yeah. And it goes back to, this is part of why Matt Collins is here this year. Like, maybe with better leadership, none of these issues happened
that
last
room
season,
needs some
you know?
maturing.
But I don't think that, you know, that none of the reasons why I'm concerned about Pulk is what Paul is necessarily saying. We knew coming into the league that he wasn't going to be a great separator. And if his hands are not what's carrying him and his play strength and his physicality isn't what carrying him, then what's carrying him, right? And like that with any player, like you have to have a carrying trait. Like what's the one thing that you do better than everybody else that makes you can hang your hat on and say that this is how I'm going to succeed in the league. And if that comes back around, if he like goes back to playing the way he was at Washington in terms of the physicality and the hands and all that good stuff, then he could definitely start to come on. I haven't seen that yet is all.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the other stuff that worries me is in the scenario that Mike sort of unfolded. If all these guys come in at the top and they push him down, I don't know if he's a guy that would, like Matt Collins is perfectly content to go out there and catch the one target he gets a game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Polk fits that kind of mold. I think he thinks he's more than that. And I would worry about him if he's the fourth or fifth receiver and you're not asking him to do much. Does he go in the tank?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because
that's when the off-field stuff would.
Has he
would
learned
come into
humility
mind.
because
at the pro level?
because he was in a crowded room at Washington, so that's like what makes it interesting. Like he clearly was not the number one at Washington. Like Rome Odunze was the number one,
Right, and Jalen McMillan was the number two until he got hurt.
Right.
Otherwise, we wouldn't even be talking about it.
Yeah, so I find that part interesting because he has been sort of, not necessarily complimentary is probably a little strong, but he has been part of a group instead of just being the guy. Like a lot of guys like Jalen Pulk,
Yeah, that's a fair point.
if you're at a different
Maybe
school,
I'm worried about something I shouldn't be.
If you're at a different school, then Jalen Pulk is the number one receiver in college, but he wasn't. So I don't know.
A bad school.
I'd be curious.
I don't think he's that good.
I'd be curious what Josh thinks of him as a player and how Josh thinks he could use him. Because I think an element we're not talking about is the fact that they had a terrible offense last year with not great coaching as well. So, you know, those weren't the guys to pull him out of a funk, and clearly they pushed the wrong buttons to get him out of the funk.
Let's go back to what Elliot Wolf said at the end of the season. You know, we were counting on a little bit more support, and he was talking about the coaching.
Yeah, no, and he's prime example, and everything Paul said is right. Like, I mean, you can read into it. I think I err sometimes more on the side of these are young kids all of a sudden thrust into the spotlight, and they're trying to project confidence in themselves and their team.
Right.
And, you know, we're doing this together, and they have that mindset. And it comes across poorly sometimes. Rookies are best seen and not heard. Less is more. Those things are always going to be true for the rookies. So it's a fascinating player. I mean, I think it's really fun to watch him this year because he did catch a lot of balls last summer. Does he not do it again, or does he?
Let's go to Dave in Toronto. What's up, Dave? Windy up there, huh?
No.
Are you on top of the CN Tower?
I think I'm on the road. That might be it.
Okay.
I've been listening for 17, 18 years, half my life. I'm 34 years old, so long time, first time.
Wow, where you been?
I couldn't get through for the first couple times I tried, and I figured listening is just easier afterwards.
Okay.
Couple questions for you guys. Evan, do you guys have access to the tracking data for the college receivers? Is that something you guys, see before pre-draft in terms of, speed and how fast they're going on the field? Or is that just NFL teams?
Some of it, yeah. Some of it trickles out through different resources and things like that, but not like a database where I could pull up any player anytime. No.
Yeah, so it's not something that's publicly available data, but that is out there in the ether somewhere, right?
Yes, that's true. Places like Real Analytics or Zebra or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just like backing up. You see the speed times, but then you see the real field speed times. Sometimes there's a big discrepancy between those two things. And then I have another question about the defense, if you don't mind. And what Babel wants to do, I think, is really send a lot of pressure, especially down through the middle, through Milton Williams, and that middle of the field or the middle of the defensive line. Does that mean the ends are going to be pulled back a little from really getting after the quarterback to kind of secure those ends? are all four of those guys really getting after that quarterback, and that linebacker is left to kind of clean up the mess?
B.
Yeah, second one for sure. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I think all the defensive linemen, they're going to be 4 down and they're
Go
going to
get
be
'em.
attacking.
Yeah.
They played a lot of unbalanced lines where they had like 3 guys on one side of the center and then just one guy on the arm side of the quarterback, and they were running games and stunts and things like that, and they like to get after it.
They'll get creative, but I still think it's going to be a total departure from what we're kind of used to, especially on early downs, where it's stop the run on the way to the quarterback, get off the snap.
Well, I'm excited because with Carlton Davis and Gonzalez, how that opens things up for other people.
Yeah, the 4 down stuff's exciting. Like, we haven't really experienced the defense that plays 4 down defensive lineman hand in the dirt, teeing off. Like, that's not really a Bill thing, so we haven't really seen that in a while around here.
I think the part of that is going to be there'll probably be some big plays. They're going to be from time to time. They're going to get gashed. They're going to miss guys.
Get hit. Yep.
And there'll be seams that get exploited. But I think the hope is you make more plays than you give up.
Chris is in England. Hey, Chris.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Yes.
Dave from Toronto stole my thunder because it's been 15 years since I've been listening, and it's the first time I've called. So, I think he said 16 or 17. But first of all, just wanted to say, love the show. As obviously listening for 15 years, you should enjoy listening to it. Fortunately, Foxborough was great.
Thank you.
Although everybody, I think he did Paul a bit dirty when he had his part, and did nobody spot the wild hair that was floating off the top of his head.
Yeah. I had to point it out.
They apologize.
Yeah. Stray hair.
It is what it is.
Michael Stray hair.
I just wanted to talk about walk-on music, if I may.
What's that?
I wanted to talk about walk-on music.
Walk-on music.
Yeah.
You were talking last week about walk-on music, so I thought I would tell you what my English football team, Tottenham Hotspur, recent European champions, come out to. And I also have another song which I think will make you quite amused, Fred. So we come out to Duel of Fate from Star Wars.
Okay.
It's quite a big build the drama.
That's pretty good. I like that song. Yeah.
That one.
Yep.
The other song that we have that is sometimes played on the PA, but also just sometimes the fans sing it, is from your good friend Barry Manilow. Any idea what it might be?
Paul, you just saw him perform live? Sarah?
No. What do you got?
What'd he come out to?
So I'm going to have to sing it because we sort of interject it with the chant of Tottenham. So it's you know I can't smile without you, Tottenham. I can't smile. And the whole
without you.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So yeah, there we go.
When you sing it, do you have your arm on each other's shoulders and you go back and forth?
It's a big sing-along.
Yeah,
for you
it's a
at the
big
concert.
sing-along song.
The scarves.
Yep, the scarves. Yep.
That's a good one.
And then you beat the crap out of each
part of
other.
the kit.
No, I like it. I like it.
But I love the show, and also, very last one, Mac doesn't get many shouts out, but I'd like to congratulate him. A couple of weeks ago, you had an Irishman called Owen on, and I don't think he was talking much then. And Mac, assuming Matt is the person doing it, he cleverly put on Thanks for Nothing from Caddyshack. So
there you go.
Matt, I noticed it, and I made me chuckle.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
for
Chris.
listening for 15 years.
Absolutely.
Tough couple years for Tottenham recently. Not exactly at the top of the table.
Was that
there.
Scal's team?
Of
Why do I
course.
seem
No,
to think
his
that?
was Chelsea, wasn't it?
Was it?
Well, it's a bandwagoner if I've ever seen one.
I remember
have
just
no
telling me
idea.
about the Bundesliga. I'm like, what is that?
That's
the German league.
That's
That's not.
I know
not
less
even
about
the
soccer than I
EPL.
do
That's where you
basketball.
root for Bayern Munich, although they didn't win last year.
Bayern Munich.
Was it Borussia Dortmund one?
I think so, yeah.
By proxy?
Bill writes in, if you could go back and watch one game live for the first time, which is it? 1, the Patriots squish the fish game, 86 conference finals. The Celtics bird steals the ball versus Detroit.
It's a good game.
The Bruins come back versus Toronto down 3 goals in Game 7, 2013.
Oh.
The Red Sox Game 4 versus Yankees to start the comeback. Or BC Flutie Hail Mary versus Miami.
Definitely
That's
not
Paul's.
bad.
The Bruins.
That Bruins game was unbelievable.
Well, I
Game
watched.
seven.
I'll never forget
Like,
that.
I feel like I'd want to go back to like Squish the Fish or something
No,
because I'd
but
never
you-
seen
But
it.
do you remember watching that live, like
Yeah,
into
I
the
do.
late hour? Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, got to
Yeah.
break
Oh.
curfew that night.
I was-
Mine would be
What, the
Bird
Bruins?
steals
3
the
hours
ball
behind.
versus
The Bruins.
Detroit.
It's a good one.
she managed just to make me feel so bad about myself. All that you had to break curfew
I
to
was
watch
young.
the end.
I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was 18.
I was in Washington,
Checks out.
D.C. I actually didn't see it live.
13. Yeah, I watched that one live.
I definitely saw that one live, but I've seen that one, so like I would want to go back to the games that.
No, but
before
I
my
mean, I
lifetime.
get what your
Yeah.
point. I'm going to go to something. I'm going to lean towards something I hadn't seen. But he was saying if you had a chance to watch it as if you had
Relive
never
it.
seen it.
Yeah.
Relive it as if you've never
But
seen
also,
it.
like the tough part about that one is I know they don't go on to win the cup, so it's just
fair.
like
That
Kind
is
of bittersweet.
Yeah, like
But
it,
you would
it
enjoy
just-
the moment. Well, it's just spoiler alert: they didn't win the Super Bowl in '85 either.
Was it the 11 run where they had a game? Was it also against, I forget who, but it went into like, it felt like 7 overtimes.
They've had in the
What
cup
year?
final. They've had quite a few
The
games,
11
like
run, the
multiple. So 13 against the Blackhawks. They had
They
a
had
3 overtime game. That
Was
might
it
be the
three?
one
It was
you're
more
talking
than that, the one I'm thinking of.
about. I think the Blackhawks it was 3.
I think they had a
Someone in
triple
chat
overtime
GPT.
game in the '90 finals against
Oh,
Cam
Edmonton.
Yeah, Peter Klima.
Peter Klima.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lights out game.
Ended the was not the lights out game.
Wasn't the lights out game?
No, the
Well,
lights
that
out game
series,
was
though,
in
wasn't it?
'88.
Oh, that was 2 years ago. Okay, 2 years before.
Dan in Virginia and Michigan, while this is for Evan. While surprising your bride with a musical performance would generally be a good thing, I would encourage Evan to crunch the numbers on this one. If Jess associates his saxophone with one of his former girlfriends, she might regard Evan breaking out his sax at the wedding as if he as if he brought along the old girlfriend.
No, he's
Just-
He's righting a wrong.
Just for the record, was not an old girlfriend. I wish was an old
you're
girlfriend. That never
trying.
landed
Oh,
in
wow.
that.
Doubling down
That
on
never
it.
landed
I
that
wish.
girl. But
It's amazing
Because of how you
think
played
with
the sax?
you'd
it
think
probably
that would've
was
sealed
it.
the deal.
I said she was out of my league. So was Jess, but like that one I got lucky.
She
But
only dated drummers.
yeah, maybe that was what it was.
Speaking of Evan's dating life, I suggested on X that Paul and Deuce should have a movie date with Evan to go see Jaws at 50, the definitive inside story. Then I remembered that movies actually aren't the best dates because you can't talk to one another. So as an off-season conversation topic, what are your ideas for a good date, or what's the best date you've been on?
That's a bad take. Movies are a great date.
Best
Great, like not like if it's like a first date,
date.
but like if you're
No.
great date.
First date, coffee. Get coffee and talk.
First date, I think, something very low key,
Yeah.
low pressure, like not a full dinner,
Yeah.
just to sort of get to talk and get to know each
Proud
other.
of myself. Like one time in life, before texting and stuff, I like walked up to a girl that I kind of had been talking to and just asked her out on it. Like, you want to go out on a date? And she was not that excited
Did you
about
have the cassette beforehand?
No, not yet. This is
Okay.
a different girl. This is post. That was post girlfriend. This is a,
Holding the boom
trying
box on the
to. But then that's what we did. We just had coffee. We didn't hit it off. It didn't go anywhere. But I was proud that at least one time in my life, I walked up to a girl in person and was like, "Would you like to go out on a date with me?" I think that's hard to do. I think young guys are terrified.
I think
of
we
doing
need to
that.
get Alex's perspective.
They
on
don't
this.
do it.
No, and now it's all easy because you just text and you're like,
Yeah, you
hey,
just swipe.
like you don't have to ever have the
These
fear.
people, they haven't been on an actual date in
Long time.
In like
It's been a long time.
I like a
No.
sports game, honestly, because you
No.
can, like, if the conversation dies off, you can watch the game and tie,
You'd be
like,
great
a
for a golf
conversation.
date.
Oh,
You'd be a
yeah,
good golf
that's like.
date.
But then you're stuck
But
on
I'm
the
a
course
hustler.
for like
Right.
18 holes.
I'm a
Like,
hustler
that's
in
right,
a golf
right. Not
date.
so-
It's like.
I've gotten made fun of for saying miniature golf is a great.
That's a great
great
first date.
and
Great
people
date.
have made fun of me
No,
for
that's
that.
a good
I
one.
used to do that from time to
So
time.
when you
Great
did
date.
it, did you try to win?
no, you just have fun. You just talk.
Because I would
It's
try
not
to
too
win,
long
and that
to-
would kill it.
You get an ice
You know
cream
me.
cone after.
Another one for Fred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go to Richardson's down the street.
I used to
Yeah.
be like,
All over
okay, if you're not taking me out to dinner on the first date, you're a scrub and you're not trying hard enough. But then I realized my time is way too valuable to be locked into a dinner date that
So I would
want
do the
nothing to
dinner
do
followed
with.
by the miniature golf a lot.
If it goes well, you say, hey, let's
Yeah.
grab dinner. And
Hey.
if not,
Yeah.
oh, it's.
See, I think miniature golf's
This
great
is
for a little
fun.
flirty back and forth. Like, oh, you got this
Yeah.
one, or I don't know, like it's. Yeah,
You're
I like
talking.
it.
Want to hold my putter?
We go mini golfing a lot. Dan, there it is.
You really are something else. You're supposed to keep us out of trouble.
Well, there's like a lot of stuff going on with
gotta
miniature
ask.
golf. There's holes, there's putters, there's all kinds of things.
What was the argument for
balls.
people saying that miniature golf is a bad date? Because I think that's an excellent first date. What were they saying?
Yeah, I
Stupid,
agree.
no.
I agree. With a good first date.
Yeah, all right.
Great
I'm
first
glad.
date.
Because it's like an activity.
I thought I was going to
fun.
get
What
What about taking her to a sporting event?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
what Alex said. Thanks for listening.
And then I get to be like, hey, I'm cool. I actually know stuff about the sports. Too,
Well, I
you
feel
know?
like an activity is probably best because if you can't the conversation dies down and you're sitting across the table from her, then what next?
Right.
You know? So if you're mini golfing or something like that, then that occupies some of the time and maybe gets some of the awkwardness out, you know.
Okay.
This is where Bar should listen to this part of the show.
Travis said it was kind of like a kid's thing to do. Adults don't do that. I think that was kind of like the pushback. And it wasn't a lot, but I had mentioned it a couple of times, and I was like, miniature golf.
They're wrong.
So now I was like,
yeah, but why would you want to be with someone that takes themselves that seriously?
Right.
I never had a girl say no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. It's fun.
Like my college girlfriend was the least athletic girl I've ever.
Gina?
Nina.
Nina, sorry.
Not all Italian girls are the same. And she loved it. We used to go miniature golfing all the time. She loved it.
Yeah. I used to go with. I have a girl who's very
and
good
ice
friend.
cream at the end.
We used to have
an ice cream.
Right.
What could be better? What could be more
Ice
wholesome?
Get a
cream.
little cone afterwards. Great.
Love it. Miss those days.
Travis in West Virginia, as I'm wont to do, I'm asking a non-football question today. Since Alex is there, I figured I'd get a more balanced answer. A coworker of mine informed me that she has 4 best friends. I told her that wasn't possible. You can only have one best friend. What are your thoughts? Girls do this a lot.
Girls do this. I'm guilty. I'm so guilty.
Especially freshman year of college. Everybody becomes their best friend. By November, they hate each other.
Well, I have Morgan. We've known each other since first grade and went to college together. She's my best friend. But then you have
bestie,
your work bestie, your adult bestie, your college bestie. I don't know.
I have a whole.
I have a group of 4. And the 4 of us are super tight. They're my 4 besties, including Morgan. Shout out Morgan. And
Morgan.
then,
hi Morgan.
But then I was with all my high school friends this past weekend, and we've all known each other 20 years. We were talking about this, and it's crazy. And we're all still pretty tight too.
I gotta get this out quick. We're out of time, but I have such a rant on this. I hate when people are like, I want my wife to be my best friend. I'm like, your spouse can't be your best friend. Your best friend needs to be somebody different than your spouse. Your spouse is your spouse.
It's another window into the deuce.
I got passionate. Lane knows my feelings on this.
Shade.
Your spouse, you're not your best friend. You have to have a best friend and a spouse. Your spouse is your spouse. That's even more special than a best friend. So don't try to combine them into 2. You need a best friend too.
Okay.
On that note,
it's a complicated.
This is like the movie I Love You Man, where Paul Rudd. Have you guys seen it? Paul Rudd doesn't have a best man in his wedding.
There isn't a rom-com he hasn't seen.
That's the best one though.
Do your stupid bachelorette voice
and I want someone who's not only my best friend but also my soulmate.
You're my best friend.
That's every episode. But you miss it. You always have to start with, for those of you who don't know.
For those of you who don't know me.
All right. Well, listen, that's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. I hope everyone has a great weekend. I know I'm going to, no matter what.
I am, sure.
Savor these weekends.
Yeah.
They're going to be... They're going to run out pretty soon.
Only 4 grad parties this weekend.
All right. We will see you next Tuesday.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.